You sound just fine, Steve. Everything's good.
You look good too.
We can breathe. Everything's
That's good to know.
just wonderful. You know, I can. Should I send the link to the guest?
Send it.
We have a guest.
This is supposed to be a guest tonight. Steve,
Yeah.
how am I supposed to be properly pissed that the guest is late when your technical issues fucked us up even more?
But I wasn't late.
No, you. Whoa! What the fuck did you do? Oh, dear.
What the hell?
Yes.
Who are you?
Are you like entering a wet t-shirt contest at a cowboy bar tonight?
Just who the fuck are you, dude? Who?
Just patriotic, man.
Oh, all right. I see.
People seem to like the hat, so I figured they might like this one better.
Oh, if you say so.
Mhm.
The link is away to the guest. I was gonna wait to bring him in after we start the show, anyway. But
You think he's going to show up?
I think he might. He probably will. I think it's hopeful.
Does anybody want a slightly used Yeti? I have no idea what's going on with it.
We don't either. So that makes more than one of us. So, yeah, Steve, because you happen to fuck us up and make us late. I think I need to go refill my coffee. So, why don't you entertain the people before we start the show?
I'm not very good at that.
You're the best.
What? Wait,
Steve, you're the best. You got this.
I'm just going to be silent.
If Ryan comes in, you won't know. So just carry on.
Who's Ryan? So, what am I supposed to say? Matt? KT? Anybody?
Matt has abandoned us too.
Yeah. See how Chris does that? He just leaves us here and dick.
All right, geez.
That's better.
What are you doing for Halloween, Katie?
Nothing. I think I might be taking my boyfriend's daughter trick-or-treating, but that's about it.
Are you dressing up?
For the first time, I think, ever in my life, no.
Finally hit the age, did you?
Yes, and I don't like it. I
Have you been
trick-or-treated till I was
watching,
like 22.
Have you been watching any scary movies to get you in the mood?
We rented a few, but I didn't watch them. Not yet.
What's your
I'm
favorite
lame,
scary
I know.
movie?
Well, I grew up on Child's Play. Those are my fave.
I'm back, Steve.
I did really well.
Great.
He did great. He did awesome.
Great.
I'm interviewing Katie about Halloween.
Oh.
So far, she's not dressing up. She hasn't watched any scary movies.
I've watched
And she grew up on Child's Play.
Oh. Great.
I'm sorry. So, like, your top two were probably like Child's Play and Leprechaun or something?
Not Leprechaun. I don't know. I like the Saw movies too.
Yeah, the Saw movies were good. That's
Good
movie.
kind of when the whole torture thing started in the horror industry. Torture movies
I dig
became
it.
a big thing. I prefer Hostel myself.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one.
All right.
Steve
Well,
has
we
no
have
idea
our,
what we're talking about, though.
No,
We do
of
have
course not.
our guest waiting in the wings. I'm going to start the show. Ryan, I will bring you on after we've introed the show and all that other fun happy horse shit. So if everybody could mute Steve, mute yourself for the program. Once a week, 3 laddies come together from distant lands to talk about big feet, Martians, ghosts, time travel, chupacabras, and the Sweetwater legend.
I think we're all huge fans of the Sweetwater legend.
This is the Fortean Slip with your host, Chris York. Say no to Quaaludes? Fuck no. Wait a minute. No. Co-host, Steve Alcorn. I've been
Can
on
I
the
like take a break? Shut my camera off. Go
Yeah,
have a
good.
sandwich?
and sometimes special guest, Matt Knapp.
Accept it for what it is and just watch it and enjoy it.
They don't know who you are. They don't know what you want. If you're looking for entertainment, you may have come to the wrong podcast. But what they do have is a very particular set of skills. No cows were harmed in the making of this incident. We often wish that your relationship went much like that of the praying mantis.
I thought that was a reference to everything being green.
Yeah, sure you did. Carry on, gentlemen. I'm going to do something else for a little while.
Wow, Steve, would you like us to stop the program so you continue to do your shit?
You're about to witness the strength of creep knowledge.
Good evening. Welcome to Fortean Slip. This is episode 103. To Bigfoot or not to Bigfoot? That is the question, Steve. You wanna
What
hear
the
my
hell
answer?
was that?
What?
I'm sorry. I was unaware that there was a new intro.
Well,
I knew
well,
there was
here's the
going-
thing. Wait. The new intro was supposed to be voiced by one Frank Smith.
He sounds a lot like you.
Sounds amazingly like me.
I was going to say, that's what I thought.
Yes, I gave Frank the script for said intro, and the voiceover that he gave me back was
Shit.
I won't say shit, and I asked Frank. I said, if Frank's a good sport, because I told him I was going to give him shit for it. It was just, he was just like, your host Chris York, co-host Steve Alcorn, and it was just so monotone and just straight across
So
the board.
his acting is a lot like mine.
Exactly like yours. Worse.
He's going to
Worse?
contact him for an intro to his YouTube channel now. Oh, really?
Yeah. So yeah, I was not able to get Frank's version of the intro up, and I wanted to display the new intro tonight, so I threw my voice on it for the time being until I can get the whole package for you, Steve, as it were. You know? Does that make you happy? No.
I mean, I could take a stab at it, but my Irish accent is kind of like trying to hold on to the Sweetwater legend. You just can't hold on to it for very long.
That's right. It's like fucking trying to hold on to a fire hose.
Yeah.
You need like 4 or 5.
Yeah. It starts out okay, and then it's just all over the place, whacking you in the face.
When Steve goes to have sex, it's like that video from Washington State where the horse fucks the guy. He got to hold the horse.
Jeez, he goes there.
Oh shit! Sorry, Steve. We hear it's a legend, though.
What are you doing?
Why do you have stickers on your fucking microphone?
I don't like the red light, so I'm fixing it,
Oh, thanks.
covering it up.
Thanks. So we'll bring our guest on, I guess. The man that was supposed to get us other guests. That didn't happen.
This was all his ploy.
Yes. Welcome to the program, Ryan Redding. Ryan, you are muted currently.
It's that button that says mute, and you push it.
I don't think you need to be giving out technical advice, Steve.
Not tonight, Steve. Tonight is not the fucking night. So still nothing from Ryan. We got nothing. He's there.
It's probably better.
Maybe he like ran to the bathroom or something. You brought him in while he was gone.
Yeah. He took a chance to run and drain it. Tug it. Oh. That's what I do. Any chance.
Maybe he doesn't have a microphone.
Could have a microphone. Katie does it from her fucking phone. Well, we lost said Ryan Redding. That was
If he
a
doesn't
nice
have
interview with Ryan Redding.
he doesn't have a microphone, that would make this interview terribly awkward.
Okay, here we go. We have again. Let's try this round 2. Ryan Redding.
You're allowed to speak now, Ryan. No?
Huh?
Nothing?
Oh, we got nothing.
Huh? Well, it's probably for the best.
You think so?
No, Ryan, we cannot hear you.
People are gonna think that
You're unmuted, but
Yeah,
no sound.
we can't hear anything. Whatever you're saying, we can't hear it. I
So
don't
how about
know.
them Dodgers?
How about them Dodgers? Like,
It's football season.
Ryan, I don't know if you have a phone you can do it on. Katie does it from her phone a lot of times. Tablet. People seem to be able to manage. Well, people besides Steve.
I worked out my I worked
ya?
out mine.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah, use your words. Fuck.
Hey, there we
What
go.
the hell is
What
that?
the fuck is that?
That is the sound test on StreamYard.
Oh.
Well, the sound test works. The
Yeah,
microphone
that's
does not.
Yeah, the sound test works. Microphone doesn't.
Hey, I wonder if I can do a sound test.
You're gonna do a sound test too?
How do I do it? Right here.
Yeah.
Did you hear it?
No.
Oh, because it came through my. I'm wearing my wireless tonight.
No.
Yes,
Mr. Fancy Pants.
fancy.
Put on the American flag hat and
But you
Go to
didn't.
town.
But you didn't buy the new
What?
Yeti.
Not Yeti.
why bother?
You're gonna though.
I'm gonna have to apparently.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. You're gonna have to.
It might just be my USB cable. I'll have to check that.
Could be. Do we have Ryan yet?
No.
We'll continue on. I guess.
That's not the reason.
Yeah. No. Whoa. Oh, there's something. Hey,
Turn the dial a little bit more.
yeah. Stand over next to the window.
This is exactly how I thought this interview would go.
Go get
I
some
hear a
of the-
dog.
Go get some of those rabbit ear things that they put on the TV.
Wrap them in foil.
Yeah. Put some aluminum foil around them.
I hear you chuckling back there, secret producer.
Oh, this is a great interview.
It's great, isn't it? It's what you wanted, Steve.
I think Ryan probably spent all his money on, Bigfoot hunting equipment, and so his computer is probably a little, old.
Oh. Okay. All right. It's great. Riveting. I'm on the edge of my seat right now.
Ooh,
Steve.
what's
I hear
that?
something. Sounds like a vibrator. Oh. That's the sound of him pulling out his anal beads.
Oh my God, this is the best interview we've had yet.
Yeah. Richard Allen checking in meth, Steve. He spent it on meth.
Whatever.
I
Don't show anything Richard says. And he knows why I'm saying that.
This should be interesting. It's been going just fucking swell so far. Steve, you starting off with your damn mic issues.
But I fixed mine.
You did fix them, but it's a problem.
I got the old backup mic going now.
You did have the old backup. That's good.
Luckily, yeah.
That was helpful.
I had to dust it off. It's been up in the closet for a while.
Huh? Old Daddy Warbucks over there with his fucking 5 microphones and.
I actually have another one too that I keep for a backup.
Yeah, how many computers did you wind up snagging?
1. How many did you get? Still there?
No, I didn't go back. I didn't have time to fuck with it today.
I would.
Tomorrow. I would have, but I didn't have time to fuck with it, so I didn't go back. I had other shit I had to do. I had my son.
I'll sell you mine for $800.
Will you? That's
No.
fucking so nice of you. You fucking prick. So nothing. I've got nothing from him. No response in the chat. So just so everybody's aware, I mean, just so everybody understands how this all went down tonight. I had asked, obviously, Ryan to be on the program last week for this week, and as you all are aware, those of you who are in the chat room with him when he's there, he's been in the chat room when we do the show. Generally, I do see him in there a lot. His first question to me: when do you do the show?
When do we do our live show?
Yeah, that was the first question. Well,
fixed. He says
he's back.
fixed.
He's back.
Is that better?
Now we can hear you. Now we can hear you. So yes, the first question Ryan posed to me was, when do you do your show?
We do the show at the same time every week. Well, except this
every week, which generally he's in the chat room for. So there was that, and then at noon today, just to check and see what was going on, where we were going to go with this, I touched base with him to ask him, hey, you're going to be good for 6? No. Now, my first question to you, Ryan, tonight would be, when did you know this?
I actually didn't. You messaged me, and I'm way out here, and I'm at camp, and there's no way I'm going to get back in time. I almost forgot about it, and just being honest.
Well,
wait,
so
you've been asking to be on this show for how long, Ryan?
And not really. It was kind of just jokes,
come on now. Yeah, jokes, right? And so we finally let you on the show, and you forget about it.
I'm privileged.
Yeah, apparently. Jeez. Okay, the one question I have for you, Ryan. How do you pronounce your last name? Because I always say Redding, and some people say Reading, and some people say don't know how to read.
Reading.
How do you pronounce it? Reading.
Reading.
Okay, so there we go.
Yep.
And Chris has left the building.
Simple.
So, Steve, you previewed some of Ryan's book.
Holy cow, we got camera now. That's not camp.
No, I just got home.
Oh, okay. Yes, I previewed some of your book, Ryan. I read 43% of it.
Hey, that works. Whatever. Appreciate it.
I didn't have time. I've been really busy, so I couldn't finish it.
At least you went through it. And you made the effort.
I made the effort. I did.
You did.
This morning.
Hey, it works.
What are you reading that on? What are you reading that on, Steve?
Oh, it's right here on my. Hold on. Just
On
to
your phone?
prove, right there.
I
Oh
can't see
wow!
shit.
Can you even see that?
I can't see it.
Oh, hold on. I got to turn the brightness down. I don't know how to do
I
that.
should have sent you a
Yeah,
copy.
turn that brightness. Turn that. Yeah, see, he didn't send you a copy, Steve, that he was
I should've.
supposed to.
I will. I will.
Mm.
I'd have to give him my address, and I'm not sure I want to do that. Right there. Anyway, it's on. So I did
believe you,
read.
Steve.
I am actually.
I was there. I was there when you purchased it.
47% of the way through. So I am at the part
47?
where you mentioned this. Let me see if I can get the picture up. This picture right here. You see that?
Yep, we can see that, Steve.
Okay. Yeah.
There's allegedly a Bigfoot back there, but I can't make it out. So you'll have to explain that to us, Ryan.
Do you know what page that's on? I can't remember. Just so I can look at the photo better. So we're talking about here.
There you go. I think that's supposed to be the Bigfoot right there.
I
That's
believe
the
there was
Bigfoot?
two. There was actually two in this photo. Okay, so that was a trail camera off of Lewis Road in Chautauqua County, and I had left it there for roughly 7 months. There's a multitude of pictures here. I don't know what page it's on here, but there's 3. There's befores and afters of that photo. On the left-hand side, there's like a white figure. If you have the book in your hand and you're actually looking at it, it might be easier to see. Right. There's some type of white figure on the left-hand side and a black figure on the other side of the tree. Looking at it right now. Should I say it's a Bigfoot? Are they Bigfoot? Something triggered the camera, and there's something there. And then in the previous photos, the white mass and the black mass that was standing there is gone. So, I mean, when we went and looked at it and stood over there and took a relative photo, it was way taller than a deer or a bear, and it just doesn't look like a bear.
Now, I can't make any real judgment on that photo because I'm looking at it very small.
Right.
So I can't make
That's
a real judgment on it. But I would like to talk a little bit about the alleged skier photo. I'm sure you know which one I'm referring to.
That was the original photo. Yeah.
Yes. The one that made us all aware of who Ryan Reading was. Because before then I don't think I knew who you were.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but
well, it's a matter of opinion, I suppose.
that photo was taken on a road called Dibble Hill. It's roughly, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 acres, and there's an area that they use like for recreation, not full recreation, but more like hiking or just snowmobile trail. And this is where one of the sightings that I had prior was in that vicinity. So that is why I had the camera there, in case you're wondering, why you got the camera there? How'd you pick that spot? So what I did is I left that camera there through the entire winter. When I shared that, I think it was misconstrued because I tried to compare it to a skier that I had in a photo, and maybe I did that wrong. But I wanted to show that this is the skier. This is where the skier was traveling on the trail, and you could obviously see that the subject is behind where the skiers would actually ski, left to right. I tried to do what you would call a recreation. I went over there, tried to measure distances, and from the camera, using certain trees, and I don't have a answer to it, but it was something to me that didn't look like a person. It looked much taller. The arm looked longer. It didn't look, everybody went through that photo, and everybody, like you said, had their own opinion.
Including me.
Right. I didn't see any pockets. I didn't see outlines. I didn't see jackets. I didn't see any of that, opposed to a skier that's, was skiing by you could see all of that. You know,
So in the book, the picture you post, the first I haven't got back, so it would be the first time you post that picture. It would be, I don't know what page, because it doesn't tell me on my Kindle what page. That one appears to be red at the top, black at the bottom. Correct?
Right.
That's the alleged Bigfoot, or is that the skier?
Well, I have to find the photo comparative to what you're looking at. So one is a skier and one is something, possibly a Sasquatch. I just don't know where the photo is. I know what photo you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think my biggest question would be is why does everything have to be a fucking Bigfoot?
Oh, it doesn't. Definitely not. I've learned
then
that
why,
over the
then
years.
why is it? Then why is it? And why is it presented as such?
Well, I don't know why people think that it always has to be. I believe I got lucky finding these things.
No. You don't get what I'm saying. Why is it that you're presenting something that isn't or might not be as something that is?
Okay, so like that photo he's holding up right now, that was the one that, like he said, an original photo that I had captured on a game camera. Now in front of this capture, there's a trail maybe 20 yards in front of this, whatever you want to call it, Sasquatch, whatever.
Guy in a jacket.
Okay, well, the problem with that is the reason I believed it was a Sasquatch, in my own personal opinion, is when I tried to do a recreation of that specific area, I was nowhere near the height of this subject on camera. So we did like a whole thing. I filmed it. Trying to figure out what it could possibly be. I fell, close to the 5'10" range, and try to be comparative. This thing was closer to 9.5, 10-foot range. And the thing people don't know is the trail that the skier is on sits above where that being or whatever that is captured. So there's a grade away from the trail. So let's say this is the trail, the being is back here or whatever that is. There's a 20-inch decline from that trail to where that photo was taken. So you have to make up that 20 inches somewhere.
So a common problem with game tracker cameras and cameras in general is that they flatten images and distort depth perception. So how did you determine where that figure was standing, since there's no trees that it's standing behind or anything?
So if you look at the photo, based on where I had the thing, there was only a few trees, and there's some not red brush, but you call it red brush, that it came out of, that this whatever this is coming out of. So when I put the skier in front of it to actually show, like, hey, this was kind of, and that's where everybody ran with this. They said, oh, it's a skier. I was trying to show that this is the skier here, and back there was the subject, and the subject is much taller than the skier was on the trail in the foreground.
Okay, so Ryan, do you understand that there are people that do photograph analysis?
Sure.
Okay, all right. And do you understand that they look at people like you who do photograph analysis and laugh their fucking asses off?
Hey, that's their prerogative. I don't really know why.
No. It's not their no. It's not their prerogative, Ryan. They're professionals in their field.
Right. Well, that's their job then. So they can laugh and do whatever they want. And they have every right, and they should be respected in their field. And because because of people who do things like you do, people who make assumptions about photos based on evidence, based on factual evidence that isn't there. It happens all the time. There are people serving time in jail for people who have done exactly like what you do. And who have been hired by local law enforcement. So when I say that there are people out there who do this as a job, who are professionals, people like Phil Poland, I say that I take very big issue with people who go and say, oh, well, I examined the photo and I've done all this. Well, that may be so, but you don't have the education to do what
you need to do to examine that photo. If you did, I'd be behind you 100%.
Right. I mean, I don't know what type of education I need.
Right, exactly. You don't know.
If it's just a regular associate's degree that I have, that's fine. If it's, photo editing and all these types of degrees, I don't, that's not my field. That's not what I do. You understand? What I did is brought the picture to the forefront, did what, how do I say this? Let me say this the right way. Let's take Phil. Phil can analyze a photo from being at home, his best guesstimate with his software and everything. But if he was actually in the field in the same situation, looking at the same area, sometimes you would understand that there's a big difference. So as far as assumptions
but
go,
Phil does that shit. I've been in the field with Phil.
that's understandable. If Phil came here and looked at the area, which is, I don't even know, it'd be totally different now, 6 years later, 7 years later, whatever. So gung-ho in the beginning to get people out here to check that out. It was just, I even invited Steve at the time. I wanted them to come out, look at the area, check things out.
Why didn't you go out?
Somebody let Steve know he's muted.
Steve, you're muted. You fucking dumbass.
Calls and I never got together on that for some reason. We were going to, and we just never did. I don't know why.
Either way,
I understand. I get it. Your assumption about that photo is going to be different than somebody who, like me.
Completely understandable.
What I see in that picture is a red coat and black ski pants. That's what I see.
I see a red coat with white stripes on it and black ski pants.
I mean, and obviously photographic evidence is never going to get you anywhere.
Right. Completely.
And I also understand the concept that none of us have stood there at the spot where it was taken. Right. And you're right. That's where a lot of the evidence happens. However, since people such as yourself that are going out into the field and collecting this evidence do not have the proper training and skill set to analyze this stuff, shouldn't we be taking our photographs and not making assumptions about them and handing them over to the people that can and are, professionals that can analyze it for us and working with them?
Did you ever have a professional look at that photo?
No, not.
Or any of the photos that you've presented?
I've had audio, not photos. I've had audio that I sent to a few different people. I've had samples that I sent in to a certain specific person.
And you don't think that if you're going to present photographic evidence that you should have it analyzed by an expert?
I guess, but in a way, I just put it out there for people to see. I've kind of backed away from sharing any of that anyway. I just kind of put it out there so people can understand, let them make their own, like you said, assumptions about what it is. A lot of times I don't even say what I think it is. There's times that I do, but it's only because.
Well, you said it in a book that you're selling to people.
Right. Because of what I've went through, the steps, the whole progression. I didn't want to get into this just because, hey, this is something I want to do. I seen one. This is how I, got into this. It wasn't like one day I woke up and said, hey, I want to go look for Sasquatch. So it kind of flipped me. It changed my whole perspective on love.
So can we talk a little bit about that first sighting so that we kind of get an understanding of why you started doing this?
Sure.
So what were you doing? How did you see it? What did you allegedly see?
Okay. I actually shared this in a documentary. Anyway, what had happened is I used to do a lot of metal detecting. We used to go out, get the old maps, 1800s, early 1800s, go out in the woods, try to locate old cellar foundations where we could go, metal detect. Because a lot of times you would find good things, coins or jewelry, whatever it was.
Been there.
Oh, you metal detect also?
Oh, we talked about that a long time ago, Ryan. You and I did.
Right. Yep. So I was out at a specific area, and actually the area is in the book. It's off of Center Road in Chautauqua County here. And I had my dog with me, parked the truck in this parking area, kind of walked off maybe 300 yards or so off to the right, and just did my thing. I was swinging the coil around the well, and I was there for a little while, 2-3 hours. I had my dog tied up maybe close to 100 yards off to my right. I just tied him to a tree and did my thing. Well, and then there is a cellar foundation to the right. So as I worked my way up the hill, I had to go under a branch. There was a branch that kind of separated everything because it was really thick. I went under the branch, swung my coil. I looked up kind of on the slope, the grade right there, and I had to do a double take because the thing that was standing there, at the time, I didn't know. I was like, what the hell is this? I didn't know that you call it a juvenile Sasquatch. I didn't know any of this. Basically, it's jet black, really skinny, scrawny, skinny. Had long arms, way down, like past its knees, and it was behind a tree, kind of like halfway. And when I did the double take, it kind of like looked out and noticed that it, and then it bared its bottom teeth. I don't know how to.
So you keep cutting out for everybody.
Yeah, he keeps cutting in and out.
We heard bears at bottom teeth, and that was it.
Okay, is that better? Can you hear?
Yeah.
You good? All right.
I can hear you right now.
So the lip curled down. It bared its bottom. They were all square, all across the bottom, big blocky teeth. I didn't see any type of canines or anything like that, but it had this grimace on its face. How do I say this? Like, it was upset that I seen it. And at that point, we kind of like locked eyes. The eyes were black. I didn't see no whites around the eyes. And it turned.
And it froze.
And it froze.
Sorry.
They must not have great internet connection there in Chautauqua County, I guess.
It's hit and miss sometimes.
Yeah. So you were basically minding your own business out there in the woods, metal detecting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
This was but this was only like 15 feet from me that I'd seen this thing.
That was my next question. How far? How long did this last? How long did you see this for?
The whole encounter?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm trying to run this through.
Mm-hmm.
Then when it ran off, maybe 12 seconds for the whole thing. So
that's longer than Steve can stay on a bull.
So that would be me going under the branch, looking, coming back down, swinging the behind the tree, sees me, bares his teeth, turns around, goes on all fours, heads off about 200 yards up the hill in that direction.
Okay. His internet connection sucks. So anyway, after you've seen this thing, so now you've seen this thing the first time, you start, investigating. You don't metal detect anymore, right?
No, well, after the first time, I still metal detected. The first time, I kind of didn't tell anybody about it. I just kept that for about a year because I was trying to come to realization or rationalize with myself what I seen. I told like close family members, and that was really it. The following year is when I had an encounter with a friend of mine who passed away. We were metal detecting, and actually the area, if I showed you on a map, it's like 2 to 3 miles as the crow flies from one section to the other. It's all this state land area. And I forgot what I was saying. So anyway, on the second encounter, I was trying to get back to your question because you metal detect. Yeah, I metal detected after that till the second one. After the second encounter, I stopped metal detecting.
My question would be, why would you stop metal detecting if you're running into these now? Hear me out, okay? You've gone out since then and you've purchased game cameras. You've done all this stuff. You've put out gifting bowls and all that. I mean, according to the book and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And you're having more trouble now, I think, seeing them with all this technology that you're. Why wouldn't you go back to what you did? You know, be yourself out there. Just be metal detecting with your dog, whatever.
Be best.
Maybe that's what
Steve.
that might be what attracted them in the first place. Is what I'm saying.
I honestly think that it was the sounds, that the metal detector gives off, because when you're over a target, it makes a certain noise, and when you hit a pinpoint button on the metal detector, it makes another noise. And when you hear these sounds, that it could be. I don't know. And really, I've kind of stopped looking for them. This past year and a half, I haven't really done a ton of research. I've kind of just fell back. I know they're real. I know they exist. I'm not going to change anybody's mind, So
Nope.
I put out the information, and that's really it.
And you don't in any way think that the way that you disseminate the information is harmful to the way real research should be done.
Well, there's not many real, whatever you're saying, researchers out there.
I have
So-
to
Which
agree
is
with that.
which is my fucking point exactly.
So the problem is, I get your point, but the problem is somebody has to do it. And most of the people that attempt to do it,
Somebody has to do heart surgery, but the guy who doesn't have a fucking degree
right?
shouldn't be doing it. My
have a
point
degree,
is,
but I don't have a degree in biology.
my point is, people who don't know what they're doing shouldn't be doing it. If you want to be an enthusiast, if you want to be whatever, but I am not a scientist. I am not a researcher. I have never claimed, I've been out on quote unquote Bigfoot outings, but I've never claimed that any time I was doing A, Bigfoot research, or B, that I am a Bigfoot researcher. Because I have done none and I am not.
Okay.
And if there are going to be researchers out there, then they should be legitimate people, not just people just going out all willy-nilly.
Well, obviously,
and I get that, people who are enthusiasts want to say all the time, well, who else is going to do it? I can't stand that horse shit, because who else is going to do all these other things in the world that require people with technical fucking skill to do?
What is your degree? What is your degree in, Ryan?
It's just liberal arts. It's like, associates.
Just a general degree.
Just a general. Yep. I don't have, end all be all craziness, but
I do have to say, the one thing I did like about your book is the way it was journal style. Now, did you write it as it was happening, or because some of them it looks like you kind of went back and put some things in, like I'll explain this later in the book or something like that, But did most of this get written as you were doing it, or is this just remembering?
Basically, I like when I go in the woods, I would keep notes or a journal, and I would write things down on the days that I would go, where I would go, what I would do, how I would do it. So whether it's temperature or anything, it just going out, everything that I needed to record, barometric pressure, the whole 9 yards. So I'd put it in my notes, and then I didn't even really think about writing a book until like 5 years later. So then I had this whole journal sitting here. I was like, I've had all these experiences and all these crazy things happen to me in the woods, with other people witnessing it. And, I've got photos and just things, I think it'd be a good idea to put it in paper form. Let somebody.
So what I want to say about that is, at the very least, that is the first step to doing it the correct way, is keeping a journal and writing it down. So I did like that about the book, but it did seem like you were making a lot of assumptions in there too. So, And a lot of, and what I'm saying about that is like a lot of the areas that, at least to the point in the book I'm at, which is 47% of the way through, you know, you were not very, I mean, Chautauqua County, I've been there. I know Chautauqua County very well. It's, you're not very far from a road or a house, or, and you mentioned that in the book a lot, that, okay, there's a house up on the hill in the one area you were at. There's a road. In one point you were 700 yards off a road. So my point is, how do we know that there's just not people out there fucking with you? And not even intentionally. If you believe something in a bowl, somebody comes along, takes it. I mean, or, you know,
I completely understand. I that's your thinking. That would be anybody's thinking from the outside. That would even be me questioning it too sometimes. Like I said, after the second encounter, when my friend and I had seen this large creature where it walked off and hit its head on the branch, and that's kind of, I'm getting into research. This is what I'm doing. Like, I want to know more about these things. You know, I've grown up my whole life, and I felt like I was lied to because I know they exist. I know they're real, and nobody's ever said, hey, you know, in school, hey, Sasquatch is real. You know, it's hidden. So I was like, I want to know more. I'm that type of person. I want to dig deep, figure it out. So basically, what I did is I applied my skills as a hunter to these creatures. You know, how do they move? Where do they eat? Where do they sleep? Where do they go to? Do they try to mate? Are there certain areas? And I would apply all this figuratively to them. So I basically started this whole area, which I said is like 3,000 or 4,000 acres. It sits up on top of a hill. There is a road down on this section, but that's, you know, really it. And I grid searched it. So we started in one area, and like I mapped that out in the book. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 sections. And as we went through it, different days, you know, whatever, I would write down what we found. And then I would, you know, if it was footprints or whatever, made castings, whatever it was, I would just write that in a journal, and I just kept compiling information. That was like my goal, you know, figure out where they are. And then it got to the point where I caught really, to me, a really good game camera photo. Then I caught some audio that is heard that, you know, certain people say that, I don't know if you're familiar about audio, but if you capture something and it's indicative of language or any type of language, have what's called morphemes and phenoms in it. The breakdown. So like when Scott Nelson does that, he will look at it and tell you, well, it's some type of language because there is, you know, it's the way it's broke down. I'm not a specialist.
I have to hit the fucking buzzer. I know Scott R. Nelson, respect him as a military personnel, and I understand that he's well respected in the Bigfoot community, but nothing in his background gives him any qualifications to recognize an unknown language. And anybody can find language, and the items that you speak of that are comprised of language. I can say, was that a fucking language? No, it wasn't. It's just a bunch of bullshit sounds that I made, but I made it sound like a fucking language. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you can't go... language isn't founded in audio. Okay, there's rules to it, and they change
than that to base a language on.
Right, and the rules that are applied to English language are not going to be the same that are applied to, say, Latin, for instance, or any other ancient language. So, like,
I get what you're saying. I can. But the way he broke it down is he said
well, that was a cool language.
That is the thing right there, Ryan. So many times we can rebut what you say, and you say, well, I get what you're saying, but it's not, you get what we're saying, but these are facts.
Okay, so when a specialist says that it's indicative of language, then what
and
do
we're
you
telling
say?
you, and Matt's telling you that's an impossibility.
But Matt doesn't have the facts. Matt didn't hear the audio. Matt isn't a specialist in audio.
How much audio is there?
It's a 6-minute clip.
Then you don't have enough fucking audio. Period.
Okay. Well, that's your
6
opinion.
minutes. No, it's not an opinion, Ryan.
Okay.
6 minutes of audio is not enough to determine a language.
What I'm trying to tell you is it's an indicative of some type of language because in the breakdown it has what's morphemes and phenoms. If it was just white sound and white noise and nothing that mattered, it would not fall into this certain scale and have certain whatever. But I'm not a specialist.
I'm not arguing that. I had a woman on my show that recorded some amazing audio. You can listen to it. To me, it's clearly some type of language that I don't recognize. However, I cannot say that it's a Bigfoot doing it, and I can't rule out hoaxing. So you can say that you recorded audio that has similarities to language and that it sounds like an unknown language. But if you're putting it out there for other people to study, somebody trying to come in and understand what's true and what's not, we kind of have a responsibility not to make that jump and say Bigfoot has a language, because you don't know that was what if it was a ghost? Do you believe in the paranormal? That could have been an EVP.
There is some paranormal activity recorded in his book. I did notice.
Well, I'm just saying. So we don't know that Bigfoot is making any of these language sounds that we've recorded out in the field, regardless of who's done it, what the circumstances are, or anything else. And for us, in a social aspect, whenever you're talking about evolution of a species, language comes way after a whole lot of other stuff that Bigfoot shows absolutely no signs and we find no evidence of. For instance, fire. Fire comes before language. So why did they skip over all these other things and just jump to a complex language that they're teaching? Because if they're doing it here and they're doing it here, then it has to be taught and passed on from generation to generation.
I was out with a friend and we were doing some enthusiasm with the Bigfoot stuff. And
listen,
we
heard
heard
activities in restrooms needn't be brought up here, Steve.
Now you know how I feel, Ryan. Anyway, so we hear a sound that sounds a lot like language, and we record it. And it turns out it wasn't language at all. It was an owl, and it took us a long time to figure out what it really was. And we did a lot of research on what it was. And here it turns out it was just an owl that was native to that area. So I could have sent it off to Mr. Carpenter, is his name?
Scott R. Nelson.
Nelson. Oh, Carpenter's a different guy. That's right. Anyway, and he might have gave me the same response, not knowing what was native and indicative to that area, And it did sound, to me, it sounded like language. But I think what Matt's point is, this guy really doesn't have any background in, you call it crypto.
He's a crypto linguist.
Right.
He deciphers known languages.
So does he have background in that?
Code. Yes. Yeah. Extensive background.
And a lot of things in the wild sound. My first alleged Bigfoot.
But they won't have morphemes and phenoms broke down in them. An animal sound is a pure animal sound. When you have to study that. There's just certain things in language that if it's an owl, you'll know it's an owl. If he knows that. But language there's certain things in the vocal process of whatever has to have morphemes and phenoms.
So how do we know that it wasn't something that?
Well, there you go. So then you go into the octaves. Then you go into octaves. So can a human? So we're the only ones that talk. So can a human get into those octaves, hit that high, hit that low? If they can't, then where are you at? Do you see what I'm saying?
They're not. I mean, perhaps in your specific situation, you're talking about certain octaves, but it's actually frequencies.
That too, right? Same thing.
I haven't had a chance to. Is that audio available to listen to, Ryan? Still,
it should be.
The book mentions your SoundCloud.
Yeah, there's a couple on there. I can actually send it to you so you can listen to it. Actually, I could probably play it on here right now for you if I don't know if it would let me.
Because I mean, we can say that we don't understand it, but I haven't heard it, so I can't make 100% judgment.
But I think the main point with the photos and the audio and whatever is you can collect all that stuff and say, look, guys, here's what I collected. I've documented how I collected it. Here's all the details of how I collected it. And just leave it at that. Instead of like going a step further and saying, this is Bigfoot. And even saying, this is why I think it's Bigfoot. Because like in some areas, it seems like some jumps are being made. And I'm not like singling you out by saying that. I think that is a general problem in the Bigfoot research world.
And I believe you, and I'm 100% with you on that aspect.
Let's talk about the stick structures. You talk about those a lot in your book. How do we know that that's being made by Bigfoot or any creature? Yeah, because and here's why I know. Here's why I'm asking. The stick structures and whatever structures you're finding out in the woods. I see them all the time, and they don't even have to be deep in the woods. How do I determine that a Bigfoot even made that? I mean, did you ever see one make one?
Yeah, I watched one.
You actually watched a Bigfoot make one?
I've seen one do it.
Did you get that on camera? Because that would be phenomenal.
The video. Okay, so the video that I have is the one that was on YouTube. I could share it back with you. Basically, I go to the area, and it's where I have my backpack on. I set my camera against a tree, and I end up seeing an individual over here and an individual over here, and I watched one do whatever it was doing with these sticks, okay? You can see, it's the video where something turns, runs away, and it looks white. I don't know if you've seen that video, but during that whole aspect, basically, I'll break it down. I went there, usually that's one rule that I never do. I broke it that day, and I went alone, and it scared the shit out of me. I went to a certain area. I wanted to retrieve a game camera, which was next to an already made stick structure. I went in, had the backpack on, had the camera, got to the location, took the backpack off, set the camera, the 4K camera against a tree, and had to get the new stuff out of the bag, go back to the other camera to switch to SD cards. As I'm doing that, I left the camera against the tree to videotape, which would be to the north. I get to the camera, I open it up, I switch cards, and out about 65 yards is what I would call a female Bigfoot. There's a row of like heavy brush, and what I can see is it's like maybe chin up, just looking at me. I could see the one shoulder was like black. It was roughly in the 7 foot range. Okay, I didn't see breasts or anything, but the features look softer on it, if that makes any sense. And opposed to the black hair that it had, the face was gray. It was more gray, and I could see what really stood out was the oily sheen on the skin. So I was looking at it. I kind of froze, and I was trying to get the card into the camera to actually try to take a picture or something. But in the meantime, I'm talking to what you would say the audience, because I was making a YouTube video and explaining what I'm seeing. At that time, I go back, run to the camera. The creature takes off up through the woods. That's it. Okay. Unknown to me.
I don't think that's the video, Chris.
Oh, I thought this was the one that he was talking about.
Definitely not.
Are your videos still up on YouTube?
Oh,
they're demonetized. They've been, I just left them there. Yeah, they're there. I can share the video with you, but anyway, so I'll finish the story real quick. I pick up the camera. I'm headed out. I'm distraught. I'm shaking. I'm flustered. I'm pissed off at the same time because I didn't get to get this encounter on video. Okay. And I get home, upload the video, and somebody contacts me and they're like, hey, you need to check the background. I believe the one guy, he did a breakdown of it, but he had to zoom in a good distance. Tri-diver.
Try. What do you think about Tri-diver, Matt?
So anyway, he looked at it, just gave his once over, but it helped out because he's good doing his thing, like other people. But I didn't even know it was in there. So you could see the subject come out. His arm is really long, so it flails like this 3 or 4 times, and it stands up. And when it stands up, you could just see this huge mass. And as I'm walking back to that camera to pick it up, it turns around, hits all fours, takes off. But when it does that, the brown subject turns white. The whole back, I don't know if it's from the sun coming through, but the whole back turns white. So anyway, during that whole encounter, the one that was on the hill was doing something with the stick.
Wow, as far as I know, that only happened with Michael Jackson. Oh, sorry.
Smart ass.
I got to ask though, Ryan, you've seen this very clearly, correct?
We'll see what.
Any of the Bigfoot encounters that you've had,
Yeah,
you've seen
obviously.
them. You've seen them very, very clearly, right?
Yeah, most of them, yeah.
So how come our cameras can't pick them up clearly like that? You got a 4K camera, you said.
Yeah, that's the problem is distance. The problem is woods, foliage, trees, things get in the way. It's not like us right here just taking a picture. A lot of times you're moving, you're in motion. Even if you're using sports cameras, most of the time you're at a soccer game and you're going to videotape people. You're the one standing still, taping it, unless it's on like an NFL trolley.
I have a GoPro Hero 7. I guarantee it would pick that up clearly.
Pick what up?
Clearly, anything I'm filming.
No way,
because it has image stabilization.
I have all that
really well. I've run with it. I've shook it. It stays pretty steady. It's a nice
when you
camera.
go through the woods and attempt to get the footage that you're after, it doesn't happen. I've got a decent photo, but you're gonna say, well, what is that? Because it looks like the side of a Neanderthal face. That's what
I've seen some of the photos that you posted in the book, and a lot of them, to me, and I'm obviously my opinion here again,
100%.
are a lot of pareidolia going on.
Hey.
And I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Sure.
Pareidolia.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there was a picture that you said was a sleeping juvenile. Are you familiar with which one I'm talking about? Did he freeze again? Ryan has froze again. There he is. The sleeping juvenile photo.
I heard it.
Okay. To me, that just looks like a bunch of foliage and leaves. I mean, there's nothing in that picture, and obviously it was a very zoomed in photo.
Are you talking about this one right here? Is that the one you're talking about?
Let me go back and look real quick.
Or are you talking about?
It was the first one you talked about. The first, I think, actual quote unquote Bigfoot photo you posted in the book.
Okay, so no, it's not first. I'm halfway through. It would be this one then. Is this the one?
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
what do you see there that makes you think that that's a Bigfoot? To me, it looks like a bunch of leaves and.
Well, my friend actually seen it, and it moved. That's why he took the photo. This photo was actually probably 60 yards away. Okay, and then it zoomed in, and that's why you see that. But like right here, you're not gonna be able to see any of it. But yeah, it's right there, and then I zoom in, so you see.
Maybe you should have put a red circle around it. That might have helped.
Hell no, hell no, no. But it has a nose. You can see the sheen on the nose. It's weird. That's why I didn't know if it was Sasquatch. This creature was. It was just an unknown. I never said that it was a Sasquatch, but if you look at there's a sheen on the nose.
The book says sleeping juvenile.
That's what I said. Juvenile. That's yeah. But that's what it is. To me, that's what it is. I mean, what else would look like that? Doesn't make sense.
To me, it just I have to say it just looks like leaves and.
How many sightings have you had?
Roughly about 7.
And how many photos or video of Bigfoot do you have?
Oh God, I don't even know. I've got that one video that I was just talking about, and as far as photos, maybe 1, 2, whatever's in the book here. Not a ton. Just
Now I can't find that picture.
7.
Well, I mean, like,
Nothing
so far,
crazy.
just flipping through the book, we've seen like 4 or 5.
Yeah, there's most. This is most of them that I put in here through the research. Like, but it took.
There, I got my picture of that. That's a zoomed up real close.
Yeah, that's the brown, but that's the negative of it.
Right.
And I state that in the book.
But I can clearly, right here, see a branch come down, and that branch continues through. And I'm assuming you believe these are the eyes here?
In front of it. No, not at all. That would be like the mouth. There's the... if you look, I'm trying to get this damn thing. Where's my thing? Where I'm opposite. So, like...
You're saying it has like a chimp-type mouth?
Yes. Do you see it?
I see what you're looking at, yeah.
Yeah. So eye socket's above it, and then it's got that rolling forehead that goes back. It looks like a chimp face. Yeah. Right.
So why doesn't anybody else describe them as chimp-looking?
I couldn't tell you. I think there's different types, different families, different groups. I mean, just like me and you, we don't know. We all look different, you know. So,
well, yes and no.
And you don't at all think you're just trying to make what you're seeing fit the model? You don't think that at all?
No, not at all. If it's not a Bigfoot, it's not a Bigfoot. Plain and simple. I could give two shits. I mean, it is what it is, you know. But in the beginning, I just came across, I think, really gung-ho because it was a shock to me. You know, when you see these things and I didn't pay attention to this research world here, what people talk about. I didn't know there was this a thing. And then, you know, it just happened to me. And I was like, what the hell? I'm going to start sharing videos. And then it just kind of blew up from there. And I don't know. I can be biased in my own right, but at the same time, if it's not, it's not. If it is, it is. You know, if I see it, then... And I think that's the problem. People like me want to share our experience or what evidence we've compiled or things that have transpired, okay? And to get the whole thing across from A to B is very hard.
And Ryan, you and I have had conversations. You're going to sit here and try to tell me, because the tone that you've had during this whole podcast has been no, you don't. But you're going to sit here and try to tell me that you don't find yourself to be self-important. As
to what? Self-important?
This whole thing. Like you're like, oh no, if it's not a Bigfoot, then it's not a Bigfoot, or you know, whatever the case may be. And you're trying to come off as this really understanding guy. But I've had conversations with you where you literally just lashed out for no fucking reason whatsoever. And now you're trying to come off like you're this, you know, like you're this upstanding fucking person.
I'm just saying this is who I am, and people change over the course of the research.
And absolutely, people can change. I'm a fucking recovering drug addict. I know exactly what that means. But to sit here and try to tell me, and the conversation that I had with you was recent.
The one a couple years ago, you mean?
A couple years ago. This is fucking few months ago.
What did we talk about?
This is during the course of this whole fucking thing where we were talking about getting people on the show.
Oh, maybe it was just
what I'm trying to say, Ryan, is you're presenting all of this stuff, okay? And I've sat here and tried to ask you, you know, well, what you know, qualifications do you have to do this or that or this? And you have nothing. You've given me nothing, and then you'll sit there and say, well, that's your opinion. No, that's
where do I get
the fact that here's the thing. The fact that there are people out there like you who have no qualifications whatsoever.
I'm not
who
them.
Are presenting all of that research. I don't give a fuck who you are. And I don't give a fuck who they are either.
But don't compare me to them.
And who are presenting research that is and I'm going to come right out and say it. It's bullshit. It's fucking horseshit. To present that fucking the photo that I saw earlier, the fucking red goddamn jacket and the goddamn black ski pants, as a Bigfoot photo, And to sit there and say, well, it's sat back a little bit, and the other photo is further forward, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, the fact of the matter is that we've sat here and tried to present you with the factual evidence about these things, and no matter what we say to you, there's an answer. And it just continues down the fucking rabbit hole. What I would like to understand is, what's the end game? I mean, if you came out and said, hey, I'm just fucking with people, or this is just fucking something fun for me to do, I'd fucking be behind you 100%. I'd be like, well, I'd fucking do it with Rick Dyer all the time. Rick's at it again. Fuck it.
Fucking genius. Rick Dyer is.
I think that's the problem. People don't like that I'm not fucking around. They want me to be fucking around. No, I'm not.
Obviously are. Yeah, no, you are.
Okay, well, that's your opinion.
Explain to me. No. Explain to me what fucking photo that you have that qualifies as fucking something that's reputable. Show me one.
Well, anything's, it's all debatable.
One.
It shouldn't be debatable. Right?
It has to be. Unless you have a body, it's all debatable. Even if you've got samples. I've sent samples into New York, and
I can see a still frame of fucking Patty.
Can you tell us what happened with those samples? What happened with those samples, Ryan?
There was an amount that I had sent. Well, I'd have to explain the whole thing to you, so let me do that. Can I do that? So
I would like that. Over
7 years, I tried to collect samples at certain areas where we were seeing these Bigfoot or catching footprints, knowing that they were coming to these areas, right? So I built these boxes, and I took do you remember the old shoe shine brushes that you would use? They were relatively large. So
Steve, go get your fucking shine box.
So I took those and I nailed them inside the box, and it was like 35 inches deep. And what my plan was, put something in the box where they have to reach in like this, exposing the hair on their arm to these brushes and the samples. But when I was getting them, they were decent, 7-8 inch hairs, things that aren't really common. Sent it off to New York. 4 samples were tested. Now, mind you, they're washed. Each sample is washed. Todd came back and said, how do you say it? I probably still have it in my thing here. 1 was untestable. 1 was human. 1 came back as unidentified, and the other came back as canid, but he didn't know which type of canid. 4 were tested.
So we're talking Todd Disotell here, right?
Well, it is what it is. I'm not going to go farther than that, but
you said Todd and you said New York. Todd Disotell is a well-known New Yorker who's
I'm kind of familiar
and connected to the Bigfoot community. So we would have.
That didn't come from me out of my mouth. So yeah, I mean, whatever.
Okay, it didn't come from you; it came from me. So these were just microscopic examinations of the hair structures.
I don't know what he does, but he had agreed to test them. I don't know his whole protocol. He is, that's his specialty.
Well, if you sent him the samples, you would know what kind of testing was going to be done on them.
Was it DNA or?
Did you pay thousands and thousands of dollars to have it done?
No.
Okay, then it was just a visual examination.
No, they were tested. They were actually tested. But
I think Todd was asking for some samples at one time, was he not?
Right. I wasn't charged. Right. So
why did you stop sending them to him?
He's really busy, and I have a couple that are still there actually that haven't been tested, but his career is it's too much for him. And I think he's trying to actually, I'm not putting words in his mouth, but I think he's trying to shy away from everybody and all the dilemmas and the problems. And so I'm not going to pursue something like he did me a favor. He tested samples for me. What am I supposed to do?
Well, you said that one of the samples was unidentifiable.
Yeah, it came back as, I don't know, whatever. He couldn't tell if it was contaminated. He couldn't tell. It just came back as like unidentified. He didn't. I wonder if I can look actually in my. I could actually.
Well, there should be like a multi-page report for each sample.
He would get those, but to me, he just. Hold on, let me see if I have it, and I can tell you. It would take me a second.
Now, I'm going to say something a little controversial here, Ryan.
Sure.
I've been told by a couple of different sources that you were asked to quit sending samples to Todd.
No, I sent.
Todd.
What happened is when I sent them to Todd, Todd said, yes, you could send them. Well, I sent some in one box and I sent some in another box. He wasn't expecting the second box.
Right.
Like, he didn't know that they were separated. And he texted me and was like, hey, don't do that because it created a, like, not a security breach, but like nobody was expecting a package. So it was like there was like an issue like at the university.
I understand. I just wanted to clear that up because
A random
I'd heard
package
that.
got sent to the university. Well, what the fuck is this?
I would definitely have to go through this. I mean, this goes.
do not
way-
open till Christmas. Did you write that on there?
Did you send them an envelope filled with powder?
No, I understand. I get the security protocol. That makes sense. And if that's what happened, that's what happened. I didn't hear it from Todd. I heard it from other sources that you were asked not to send them. That's all I know.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. God, it would take me so long. There's so much conversation.
Oh, you don't have to worry about it.
Okay. But anyway,
So none of the samples came back as
no,
primate.
none came back as primate or Bigfoot or gorilla.
except the
or-
human sample, which we are primate.
Right.
So do you think Todd was lying?
I mean, somebody of his expertise. I mean, why would he lie? If he lied, that would just.
I don't know. I'm asking you a personal opinion question.
No.
Okay, good. Because I've seen where people have sent DNA samples into Todd and others, and then they come back not Bigfoot, and of course the people will claim, well, that's not what I sent them, or at least it's nice that you're not trying to throw Todd under the bus. That's
no,
good.
not at all.
Yeah, Todd's a good dude. Yeah,
So
he's a
then my other
reputable dude.
question, you
Sure.
know a lot of Bigfooters. You've met a lot of Bigfoot people in person and on the internet and everything. So going back to the amount of encounters that you've had and the number of photos and videos that you've gotten, what are you doing different that 99.9% of the rest of the Bigfoot world apparently has missed over the past 50 years?
Well, I'm not saying that it's different or anything, but I don't think they missed anything. It seems like people in general don't put puzzles together, or they don't approach things
I
the
do
right
all the
way.
time. I really like the
Well, I'm just
puzzles,
saying,
the value-based ones.
I'm just
Okay.
saying, for instance, there's a certain gentleman, I'm not going to say his name out of respect for friends of his, who has literally put millions and millions of dollars into backing Bigfoot researchers, scientists, everything else in the Bigfoot world, who have not gotten anywhere near the results that you have. So,
Or wait,
what are you doing different?
Can I clarify that?
So are you
That
credible?
he claims to have. I just wanted to clarify.
You can put that on there. That's fine. I'm just going by his own words.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell Ryan that he hasn't seen what he claims that he's seen.
Okay.
Because I too am in that same boat. I too am somebody that has gone out into the field, called myself a researcher without any qualifications, and presented results and everything else. So.
However, at this point in your life, what would you say about yourself in that capacity?
I would not call myself a researcher.
Okay, thank you.
Exactly.
I didn't think you would.
I could sit here and say, well, technically, yeah, because you do fucking research papers in school, so anybody can be a researcher. All research means is that you intensively study something.
Right,
But there's
right,
a loss in definition whenever you're telling people that you're a researcher.
right. But you understand, like, when we on this show talk about researchers,
Yes.
what we mean
Right.
okay,
That's
all right.
that's what I'm saying.
That's what I wanted to clarify. I wanted to make sure the whole definition of researcher is clarified as how we define it on this show.
Right.
Cool.
So, because you research something, does that make you a researcher?
I mean, if you want to use the general definition,
Technically, yes, Ryan.
It's
but like
just,
whenever you're talking about being like a researcher in the regard of going out there and documenting and collecting evidence and everything, now you're putting yourself past a layman hobbyist and more into like the wildlife biologist area, and we aren't.
we're not, definitely not. But isn't that
I
what we're
mean,
supposed to attempt to do? I mean, I have to make that legitimate attempt and do it correctly. I mean, I have to collect samples with gloves and masks and tweezers and
I understand, but honestly, like just because you do that, it wouldn't matter.
right.
How
It
much
doesn't make,
how much of your evidence stands up to science?
Right.
And it's going to be very little or
And
none.
like, are you documenting all that? Like, do you have proof that you're doing all that? Like, you just said that you use shoe shine brushes. That wouldn't be acceptable in a normal situation.
right, but this isn't a normal situation. The variables are all changed because you're in nature. You're not in a lab. So you have, like, I even used another
Okay, so
word.
how,
Well,
wait, wait,
wildlife
wait.
biologists
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, how would they do it for any other creature?
The
But
same
they
way.
don't-
They
they
just
don't
collect
use-
No.
There's different
No,
ways.
they
I
wouldn't.
can't tranquilize one and get the sample. That's how they do it. They tranquilize animals. That you know what I mean? I have to find reasonable ways to be able to get the samples that I need to be tested. Like,
I understand what you're saying, but for
Right.
instance, a wildlife biologist is going to have resources where, let's just use this as an example, which it doesn't equate to what you did. And I'm not shooting down what you did. The brushes, let's say you bought them brand new and left them in the package and then handled them with, latex gloves or whatever. Those brushes were probably made in a Chinese factory somewhere. They've already been touched by humans. They're already contaminated to begin with.
100%.
A wildlife biologist is not going to use those materials. They're going to have materials that they know 100% are not contaminated. And just because of the pure simple fact that they have their credentials, they have those degrees, that says that if they're claiming it, it can be trusted as an observation, as a scientific observation.
Right.
Whereas you and me, scientists don't give a shit about what we claim or what we say we did or all the documentation we want to take.
You can have journals. You could have evidence. You could
And
have,
like, I commend you on keeping the journals. That's above and beyond what most Bigfooters do. And I'm not saying people should like not go out there and collect evidence, because maybe at some point in time that needle in the haystack will happen. But we need to be honest with ourselves, because you got a lot of people out there that are playing scientists and making claims and doing things that they're not qualified to be claiming.
I think a lot of
Steve.
the evidence that you've presented and a lot of multitude of others have presented is just not good enough. It's not even close to good enough. I mean, I showed the sleeping baby photo. That could be anything. I mean, that could be leaves. It could be debris. Could be anything, right? Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, I would never present a photo like that ever, because it's just my opinion. And so it's hard for anybody to be taken seriously when we're presenting as a whole in this whole community.
Can I just butt in here? I know there's a bit of a delay, but like this QAnon, is that a friend of yours, Ryan?
No.
Because I mean, like, I know it's not my show, Chris, but if you don't fucking like it, you can turn it off. You can fucking leave.
dude.
I'm not
did
fucking jealous of fucking Ryan, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Ryan would tell you I'm not
Jealous of
fucking jealous
Ryan?
of him.
and,
Like-
and we have plenty of people that listen to us, dude. So if you don't like it, it's called YouTube. There's a little X at the top. Click off. Get the fuck out.
Like, I literally just commended Ryan for what he's doing.
It's nice though, Ryan, that you do have a supporter in here. That's pretty cool.
I have no idea who it is, but yeah. Hey,
They've just never been in here before, and all they're doing is bashing me and Chris and calling us assholes. So I wondered if you knew them.
Did they bash me? I want to be bashed.
No, Steve.
Son of
Maybe
a
you're in
bitch.
on it.
No, they think you're Joe America.
So back to my question, Ryan.
Sure.
Whenever you have, like, say, the Olympic Project, who has financial backing, all the new tech gear.
But I don't want to be compared to that.
I'm not
I wouldn't
comparing you. I'm not comparing you to that. I'm just saying they have all the state of the art stuff. They have thousands of cameras deployed. What are,
Their
in
whole
your
project
opinion,
is
what are
bullshit.
they doing wrong?
And not in my opinion, their project is bullshit because they got the backing. They were just like me at one point. Okay. And maybe they had a sighting. And then once it turned into this backing thing and they received all that money and they bought all that stuff and they do what they do, I'm not going to badmouth Derek or anything that whole project stands.
Well, Derek's just a hobbyist. He's not an
Right.
Yeah, he did. It's a hobby.
Right. But
According to Derek.
Yeah, that's from Derek himself. So
hey, I believe it changed gears. Once the money got involved, that's what it became. And
There are people involved in that project that I like.
hey, according to that Seth Breedlove documentary, he's out there doing it.
who is?
Derek's out there?
But
Yeah,
see, I don't even set Derek or anybody in the Olympic project or any project apart from Ryan Redding. They're all the same to me.
Thank
They're
you.
all the same. And
Thank you.
and here's why they're all the same. Because they're all showing the same kind of evidence. None of it can be proven to be anything.
We
None
need
of
a
it.
body. If somebody wants this proven, we need a body. If I was a 501c3 right now, I had talked to our State Department and our DEC officials. I could get grant for 100,000, 200,000 to do this type of research, 300,000. I'm not about the money. When I wanted to prove this, I wanted to try to figure out a species, whatever this exists. If it was kill one, I was ready to do whatever I had to do. Straight up. When you see these things, it changes your perspective on everything. Like, it's like a light switch. You're affected so bad. It's not like, I don't even know how to explain it, And I see these guys out here doing these projects that haven't even seen one. It's like, why in the fuck are you even out here? Excuse my language. Like,
Wait, have you listened to this show, Ryan?
yeah, haven't fucking seen one. What are you even searching for?
Hey, Ryan, I've never seen one, but I've been out.
I get it, but why? Answer that.
I've seen evidence that could be that.
Okay,
I've
let me
heard-
ask you this.
I've heard
because
vocalizations that could be that. Doesn't mean that's what it was. I want to know what it was.
as a person who has seen one, and I make that claim, and I understand that it's a claim, but do you think that impairs your judgment and your analysis of your own material because you're already going in with the preconceived thought that they're out there, therefore something triggering the camera could be a Bigfoot? So if you see something that looks like a Bigfoot in the picture, you're going to lean towards, yeah, that's a Bigfoot.
I get totally what you're saying with your preconceived notion, but maybe some people, but if you're rational, no. All it will do is once you see one, it will give you insight to what they do, how they live, how they act. Like you said, you've seen one. The way it walked, like the direction it walked, like the things, like, how do I say this? What I did is I put myself in their shoes. That's what I did. Like, I spent so much time in the field, like,
You a fucking profiler now?
like weeks. Like, I just spent maybe that's the difference. Like, you asked me earlier what the difference is. What I did was repetitive. I made it so they could trust me with habituation. Like, regardless if you
God.
like that or not, listen, if you like that or not, that's
He's a shy boy, Will.
that's what gave me that insider trading, let's say, because they trusted me. I was bringing things, doing things, and it was so repetitive at the same time, same day. It just got to the point where it was over, and I think they got used to me.
I want to say something about habituation real quick. Habituation is the worst thing you could possibly do, and here's why.
Because it
The
scared
people
the shit out
who no, because you're first of all you can't be certain that it's a Bigfoot taking that. So you're inviting animals that may not even be native, not necessarily native, but shouldn't be eating that stuff into an area where, and
Right.
clearly in your book, you're not far off of roads and places where people, recreational areas and things like that.
Well,
You could be attracting bears and foxes and, you know, all sorts of animals that shouldn't be in that area, you know, by leaving food there. It's a dangerous thing.
They're going to
And
come
somebody's
anyway.
not necessarily. Not if there wasn't anything there for them to come get. Look at Doc Johnson, man. That somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get hurt.
That's not my MO. That
I understand that's not your MO, but it's similar in the fact that you're leaving things that shouldn't be left. Peanut butter, that's not native and natural for an animal in the first place.
And you're a hunter, dude.
And all that other stuff.
well, I would
Wait. You're a hunter.
100%.
So you
Would you put out
understand the idea of putting food out attracts animals and habituates them to human beings.
Right.
100%.
So it's
Which
not necessarily
also
that
creates
You're not
problems.
habituating them to human beings. With you're habituating
No,
them.
yes, you are. When you
You-
leave food out for animals and animals start eating that food, they get used to it.
Right. But you're habituating them to the food, not to people. I'm not interacting with a bear.
But you just said that you were habituating them to yourself and they would trust you.
Right.
That's habituating them to a person.
Right. It's so basically they were understanding, however they understand, that this was left for them. See, the thing is, I would leave the lid. Everything was closed. It was locked. Like, I didn't leave mine open. Matt Johnson does, or whatever they do. Like, I made sure, like, you had to have fingers. You had to open this thing up to get into it. Understood, like, there's no human that is going to find this where I'm at. Like, I didn't tell anybody the specific location. And when you're a mile off in just this random area where I had encountered them, the likelihood of it being all these other things, people, whatever, it kind of went to the wayside. Then when you find tracks and you see things, and then you get photos, and it's the culmination of everything that kept happening. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I just tried to explain that, but when I came across the way I did to people, it was like Chris thinks, like, you know, it's bullshit. But if he would have understood the whole story, if I the baseline out top to bottom, and you know, maybe that's what I should have done. I should have came across differently. You know, been able to explain the whole story and the significance of every encounter that I had.
Okay.
Or whatever.
Have you ever seen the
Let me
YouTube?
tell you the significance of the pickle.
The YouTube videos of raccoons opening peanut butter jars. I mean, animals can get into that food if they want to get into that
I
food.
wasn't just leaving it in jars. The jars
I'm just
were
saying.
in a container.
I'm just saying, if it's there and that animal wants it, that animal will get it. Now, some of them will tear it apart, and some of them have the ability to open it, like a raccoon.
Right.
So I'm just saying, we can't just assume and jump to a conclusion that it's a Bigfoot because it took a hand to do. It's not necessarily true. Some in your book, you say that some of the stuff was gone. You couldn't find it, like your pot, your expensive pot, and you had to go buy another one.
Yeah.
But if you're in that area, that means another person could be in that area.
I was just gonna say that. Where is it? People could be around. People used to say all the time about the Sierra Kill site up in the Sierra Mountains in Northern California, that there's no one up there. There's no one ever up there. No one's up there. It's an empty area. And then you hear him talking about, oh, well, there's a guy, he lives down on the side of the mountain and he's friends with Justin. And, then I go up there myself to go check it out. There's fucking trees cut down everywhere fresh. There's people up there all the fucking time.
Right. No,
And it's a popular hunting area. Very popular hunting area.
That is my different take on this whole subject, that I believe, let me just say this. So if I'm looking in the Pacific Northwest, the chances of finding a needle in a haystack are harder because the area is so. But when you get to these smaller 3, 4, 5,000 acre parcels, not 300,000 acres or 1,000,000 acres, the chances of you running into one of these things, the likelihood is better. So, like I said, I didn't know that they were there. I hunted my whole life. Like I never seen things until, I think it was 20 what?
You never saw them until you started looking, except for
No.
the one first time.
No, the two. I seen two of them.
The two.
That's right. That's when I
But you've
started.
been out in the woods hundreds and hundreds of times prior to that, right?
Right.
And never saw anything.
Never, nothing.
So why is it now? Why now?
I don't know. And here's the thing. I think here's my opinion.
Ryan, I want you to understand something. And it's not that if you saw a Bigfoot, that's all fine and fucking good. It's all fine and fucking good. I have been an avid hiker my whole life. My whole life. Spent entire summers in the woods, on hiking trails, in the mountains, where there's fucking nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen even a bear.
Well,
on a hiking trail. I've never seen a moose. Maybe I'm not looking hard enough. I'm 43 years old, and you're going to tell me that I'm not looking hard enough.
I'm just being honest with you. I mean, people catch bear on cameras. People see moose and deer all the time.
No, absolutely. But what I'm trying to tell you is that in that span of time, I've in the wild, never
just
seen
encountered
a moose myself in the wild. I've seen bears in town, and I've seen moose in town, but out in the wild, never.
Well, that would most likely.
And you claim to have seen a creature that very few people have seen.
Unfortunately,
statistically speaking, and you want and you want me to believe that you've had these multiple different experiences, and I'm sorry, me personally, I don't buy it.
Well, you don't have to, but don't criticize me on it because you don't believe it. You know what I'm saying?
Criticize your methods.
Anybody can criticize methods. I don't have the biology degree and the hundreds of thousands of dollars to back me in. But what I did,
you wouldn't need that. You wouldn't need that. You wouldn't need the if the method is correct. There's one man I have seen in this field who, with nothing, wanted to do pure research, and that was David Batdorf.
Right.
And he wanted to show people how to do pure research, and no one wanted to listen to him. And where is that man now?
How does he know how to do research? How did he? I mean, there's no end all be all to search. You can do your methods and you can do everything you want to do, but it's still going to be considered wrong. So we're back to square one.
So following the scientific method is wrong.
Is it right? Has it produced anything over 50 years? People that have?
Who has?
I mean,
followed the scientific. No, seriously.
Yeah, who's used the scientific
example.
method in Bigfoot?
The real scientific, not this stuff that
John
people just
Green,
say.
I'm sure, Bindernagel, I'm sure Meldrum, I'm sure people like that have implied certain techniques that
yes, they have.
Right. And it's got us nowhere.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's sporadic. If that scientific method was applied,
John Green spent weeks out in the woods.
and he explained things that he had encountered through. And do you believe him opposed to me? Probably. Why? Because he had a background, or you see what I'm saying? It's all perspective. So, like I said, the frequency.
I don't doubt, Ryan, that you had an experience in the woods. Don't get me wrong. Something that changed the way you think. I get that. Okay. But for one person to have more than one sighting,
Listen,
it's so phenomenally out of the ordinary that it is.
But
That's where it comes in hard to believe.
100%, and I'm with you on that. And I can't understand why I did myself. I had the two. I got into researching. Maybe I'm good. Damn. Honestly, maybe my techniques that I implied and thought outside the box to track these things down.
You're not doing much.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
You're not doing much different.
Okay,
than
so
else, so.
Okay, but God, please forgive me.
Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan so far has not said anything or made any claims that are more unbelievable than the ones that I make on a regular basis.
That is true.
And the scientific method is the correct way to go for scientifically proving stuff and for scientifically documenting stuff, but it certainly isn't required to have a sighting.
No.
And not seeing a bear in 40 years while you're hiking is a statistic.
No. I'm just saying that because of that, and because I know of a lot of people who have been to see these. I mean, to see something that many times, to have this, and we've had this discussion, to have seen something that is that statistically improbable that many times, it gets suspect.
I understand where you're coming from, but like I said, you don't have the whole circumstance. You don't have the whole bubble. So
I don't have the whole bubble.
Yes,
all right. How about the bubble? All right. How about the bubble of a couple of months ago? You telling me that this show basically sucked and was going nowhere, and that I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and all that. Explain that.
I didn't say it exactly like that.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much exactly what you fucking said, Ryan.
It's your pet peeve right now. So what I'm going to say is I did say that because it's a good show where you can do things like this and like have a good time, but you're always so critical of the next person that it's like you're conceited in yourself. Sometimes you need to look outside the box. You're too.
I never look outside the box.
No, you're kind of self-driven in your own mind, like what you end all be all. So you're going to question everything, and no matter what somebody says, you're going to throw it right back at them.
No, but what I'm trying to say, Ryan, is you try to come off like you're something that you're not.
I'm not trying to be. I never am.
You do.
Because I hold myself to a higher standard, at least higher.
A higher standard of what? Of what? Treating people like shit? Do you know how many people told me when I fucking decided to have you on this show not to have you on?
Hey, that's
no. Ask me.
Opinion.
Ask me.
I don't want to know.
Fucking people came to me and said, "I can't believe you're going to give that motherfucker airtime."
Why are they mad?
Because you're a fucking piece of shit. That's why.
Hey, they don't even know.
Because you fucking treated everyone like shit so much.
No. That's wrong.
No. Oh, no. Yes.
I have to say, Ryan's never treated me badly.
Oh,
but that's because I'm me.
You, Steve.
Problem is, I walked around these people. I didn't give them the time of day.
You walked around them?
And that's why they're mad. Yes, when they said, listen, Ryan, you got to.
Dude, you've treated so many people like shit, and you've acted like such a cunt for so long that people fucking can't stand you.
That prerogative. If they actually sat and talked and realized things, and if they wanted to talk about Bigfoot or go to the bar, who cares? They're forming their to this guy, and he's an asshole. They don't even know me. Do you see what I'm saying? So when everybody came to me and said, Ryan, you got to do it this way, this way, this way, I walked right around those people, and they got pissed off because I didn't give them what they wanted. I'm not going to kiss their ass, anybody's ass. I'm doing what I need to do. I'm researching this for myself and just putting it out there. And what happened? Bam, everything blew up. Everybody found out who Ryan Reading was. I didn't ask for that. Just because I shared. Why? Maybe my research was better. And I was just showing motherfuckers how to do it. Get out there. Let's do this. And then when people took a look at it, they were fucking mind fucked. They're like, holy shit, look what he's sharing. Or look at that. Or holy shit, that's questionable. Or wow, I'm opening.
I don't think that's what it was, actually.
The questionable part.
I think it was that attitude that you're having right now whenever you presented it and did walk around the motherfuckers who tried to come to you and talk to you in the beginning saying, hey, we've got 20 fucking years on you, youngster. Listen to what you're doing wrong. You might learn something. You're like, fuck you. I'm the best.
No,
you're still doing it to this day.
I didn't say that. I didn't say I said I didn't. I wanted to do my own research. The more I listened, here's the truth. The more I listened to these other people, I would have been more influenced to change my fucking research, right? And if I would have done that, I wouldn't have been true to the research that I was doing. I would be using other people's techniques that got them nowhere anyway.
Okay, so what did I do?
What do you mean?
What caused you to be a dick to me?
The one day you were on a show talking all kinds of shit about me, and
I was never on a show talking about you. I didn't even know you until I talked to you in a hangout.
It was right around then or just after that. You were on.
You were a dick to him in that hangout.
Yeah.
Right, because
the first time we ever talked,
and he'd never spoken about you in public ever.
Because when we did this interview or whatever phone cast thing was, there's like 3 or 4 people. Everybody was putting in their own input and trying to get answers out of me. A, that I didn't have at the time. B, possibly wanting me to do what they wanted me to do. Do you see what I'm saying? So your phone call wasn't the only phone call. I had hundreds of at that time. Hundreds. Listen, every Bigfooter from here to fucking Australia called me.
For what?
It was to collaborate, to talk. This is what I should do. This is how I should do it. This is, and you want. So
you think that guy in that photo would sell that jacket?
This is why I got so like defensive. I'll use that word. And that's why I may have came off like an asshole, which I shouldn't have been, but I wanted to do my own thing. Like, and
you do realize that hangout was private and didn't go over the air, right?
I didn't know at the time.
That wasn't a podcast. That was just a chat room.
Right, but nobody told me that. Right, nobody told me. So I didn't know. So I was defensive,
I swear to God, Q, suck a fucking dick. Like this guy, I shouldn't even be looking at the fucking chat. But like,
Ryan's,
wow. Just fucking wow. Talking about missing the fucking mark. Too bad your dad didn't miss the fucking mark when he skidded in your mom.
Yeah, no shit.
Shit.
Christ, if your mother'd swallowed, you'd have saved everyone. God almighty.
Hey, Ryan, I do got to commend you for being a good sport and coming on, though. Because you knew. Oh, geez, we lost Matt. Matt got angry.
It doesn't bother me. Like I look the other way. What am I going to do? Argue with people for what?
We don't buy your whole story, and we're never going to.
Cool. You don't have to.
Unless we had the same experience you did. There's no way we should buy your story or anybody else's. Right.
Let me ask you this.
But here's the thing, though. Like there are people. Ryan, here's the thing, though. There are people like Matt.
You get to talk to me, Ryan.
Matt.
Turn me off.
Matt can, he fucking, when I hear Matt's story, I believe Matt. Matt sounds like a rational person. Matt doesn't try to skirt around facts. When I talk to Matt about his experience, he doesn't sit there and try to, try to make up answers on the fly.
Do you think I'm making up answers?
It doesn't sound like that. When I talk to Matt about his experience, it sounds like a man. That's why I say I tend to not believe you, but I tend to believe Matt.
Hey,
I'm a very skeptical person.
I don't care though. That's what I'm telling you.
And
I
that's
don't have
fine.
to lie. Like I seen what I seen. That's the situation. That's what happened, man. I can't.
If you actually seen a Bigfoot, we can't take that away from you. No matter what we say, right?
I almost
we can't take it. We can't take it away from Matt either. We don't have to believe you though.
And
right?
here's
we.
my
I don't
answer.
even. I believe Matt because Matt's my friend, and I know Matt
exactly.
real well.
See, that's the difference.
I
But if
don't always believe everybody else because
you don't know him.
that's part of it. I know enough about some of these people. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who believe Matt Johnson. Does that make it real?
You and
Fuck
I
no.
really don't know anything about anybody. You meet these people, we talk, we hang out, we talk on the phone. You don't know. You don't know. They're liars. They're backstabbers. I don't believe half these fucking people. So I understand what you're saying that you don't believe me, but the difference is I don't care. Do you see what I'm saying?
I don't. Let me rephrase that. I believe that you had some sort of sighting that you couldn't explain the first time. I believe that.
For someone who
Because-
doesn't care, you try to prove your point an awful lot.
And the reason we go to the route that we do with you and others like you is because you try. It seems like you're trying too hard. You're just
You
know,
protesteth too much.
yes. And
what do I protest? What do you mean? Your what?
your defense is way over the top.
Yeah.
When you're defensive.
I told you I was defensive because everybody and their mother came at me from all these different angles. So that's why I seemed defensive. What was I supposed to do but put my guard up? You understand?
You say, hey, how I would have handled it, first of all, I wouldn't have put out that evidence. But if I had, listen, believe it, don't believe it, that's it. And that would have been the end of the fucking story. You know, that would have been it.
I can't help
because you, and I guarantee you're
paying attention to me. I can't help it.
The reason we put out evidence is, hey, look at me, look what I did, look what I found. I mean, it's normal. I do it. I'm in the eBay, Amazon sales, and I do it all the time. I post the things I find at thrift stores. Why? Because I want people to be proud of me. I want people to see what I did. But that doesn't mean
that's the difference. Like I did it. I shared the things that I had. People started seeing things. That's what like grew my YouTube channel. That's the problem. Like people YouTube channel because you were researching Sasquatch. Like it's like a bad thing you shouldn't do. Like you shouldn't have both of them at the same time. You can't research or go in the woods and look for Bigfoot and have a YouTube channel. I was just sharing everything, like good, bad, and ugly. I shared it all. Like I don't care. I mean, and everybody formed their opinions from that.
Well,
like I said,
you come across very harsh, and I think that's why people don't buy what you say. And
that's why people don't like me either, because I don't hold no punches. That I'm that type of person. I just don't.
But your punches don't fucking land, Ryan.
What are they?
They don't. You're coming on here. Okay, look. You and I, we've got our past. Whatever. We obviously have our own perspectives. From my perspective, is I gave you a fair shot. Originally, came in to get to know who you were. You started being a dick to me as soon as I said anything.
I was.
And then from there,
I apologize.
Over the years, I ended up having to block you on the internet because you would just fucking PM me and just start cussing me and talking shit.
Yeah, that's mostly, like I said, I was defensive. I was too much.
Okay, well, I'm over all that. I like I said, I'm willing to wipe the slate clean. I'm giving you fair ground to stand on. But honestly, the reason that I've sat here with my mouth shut is because of the past I've had with you. I know that if I say anything or question anything you're saying, you're just going to get shitty with me. And I don't want that.
Really, I'm not. I mean, I would rather.
Okay, well, let me tell you what I've heard over the past hour. You saying a lot of stuff that I've heard before. Shit that I've said myself before. Almost verbatim. Including, I just deliver it how it is, and I don't. It sounds fucking rehearsed, man. It sounds like you're just saying the shit that you think people want to fucking hear or something.
I'm sorry it comes off that way, brother, but that's me. I'm not rehearsing a damn. I mean, I wrote the book. I did my research. I've seen them. What am I? I'm a bad person. I almost wish I hadn't seen one.
I mean, that line right there. Do you know how many times I've heard that line on a podcast?
Hey, that I don't know. I don't listen to podcasts really unless I'm screwing
Unless,
around.
except ours.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I don't know what you want from me, but I'm telling you the fucking truth here.
Well, I think one of the things that Matt had brought up earlier was one of the things you had said were the people who wanted to come out and help you or whatnot, and you were just like, I'm just going to go my own way, and I don't need any of their help, or it's your attitude, and it's what I was trying to get back to. The point of it's your attitude. You have this way of treating people. And then afterwards, you want to come off like, oh, no, I wasn't that way.
I guess, like I said, it's just the New York attitude, but I might be harsh, brash, whatever you want to call it. And people.
My cousin lives in New York. He doesn't act like that.
Chautauqua County is barely in New York, but whatever.
My cousin lives in fucking Watertown, and he doesn't act anything like that.
Well, I'm just telling you. I mean, that's
okay. You are who you are.
Yeah,
and that's fine if that's what you want to say. If you are who you are, dude, that's fine.
So I've whether it's rehearsed, not rehearsed, or whatever, I've been impressed with the things you've said. Okay, it all seems really solid. So now, let's get to the part that I want to hear about.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about portals, disappearing, cloaking, supernatural abilities in Bigfoot, you summoning them. Let's hear about that shit, man. How'd you jump to that?
So I really don't even want to talk about it, but I will. Listen, I'm the experiences that I had fucked me up. Like,
it's fucking me up.
So I've never claimed that I've seen a portal or anything like that, but we've had like time loss in certain things, and this one time, which really affected me, 3 of us went into an area we call the green room, and my one buddy went to collect the recorder. My friend that passed away and myself went into another location. He had a camera. He was just going to photo everything, and I was going to go down and check the game camera. At this time, I was doing a live Facebook feed, and I was just walking through the woods. The camera was roughly 100, not even 70 yards from our current location. I told him, hey, I'm going to walk down here. You can wait up there or do whatever you're doing, take your photos, and I'll come back. Well, I went to walk. I was over a mile away in a location just standing there. I don't know how it happened. I don't know. Anyway, I had my phone in my hand. I was kind of like I came to. When I came to, I was just like, what the fuck? And I looked around and like I could hear what sounded like foot tracks, like footsteps, like somebody was following or walking. And I turned around and nobody was there. I looked at the phone, it was black. The Facebook Live had gone down. And I was just like, where the fuck am I? Like I looked around and I'm like, what the fuck? And I yelled at the top of my lungs and I didn't get a response. Like I tweaked out for a second because I didn't understand what the fuck transpired. Like where am I? I actually had to call 911 to get out of the woods that day. So normally,
could you provide all the information for that so that that 911 call could be received, like looked up?
How can I do that? I mean, I don't care.
Well, just the date of the phone call, the approximate time, and like your name. Like 911 is public records.
Okay, so
and that would verify what you're saying.
Yeah,
and you also said you're doing a Facebook Live video, so there's video footage of when this event happened.
Right. So I could have to look up that. Once I get the Facebook day, you could call 911 and find out. Anyway, so what happened is the compass wouldn't work on the phone. Nothing would work on my phone. So I yelled at the top of my lungs. I didn't get no response. And I kind of panicked for a second because I didn't know where I was. And
luckily 911 worked.
Right. So I called 911. The dispatcher, the guy comes on and says, how can I help you? And I told him, blah, blah, blah. I said, I'm lost in the woods. This is the situation, and whatever he did, he said, I can ping your phone. So he told me to like walk and he could see what direction I was walking, he said. So like I walked like, I don't know, maybe 150 feet or maybe 100 yards. I was kind of out of it at the time. I walked and he was just like, okay, head. I think he said, was it east? I think he said that. I think that south or east. I can't remember what it was. And he said, because you're so far from such and such road. So I said, okay. He's like, I'm going to stay on the phone with you. So he stayed on the phone with me as I kept walking. Well, I ended up coming to where my two buddies were, but the only way I heard him is we had an electric scooter that my buddy rode to the other area to collect the recorder. When he was coming back down the gravel trail, I heard the brakes go squeak. So I yelled again, and then I heard them, and he's like, you found your way out. I said, yeah, blah, 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 blah. We got off the phone. It was probably a few minute phone call, but that's what got me out.
So you had cell service, so you weren't like deep in the woods somewhere. I mean, if you're able to do it, I can barely go down I-90 and get cell service sometimes.
Well, it was off of Center Road, and it is spotty out there, but I had cell service. So I was from the road, from the parking area. The one location's about 1.5 miles. And then, yeah, I was probably a mile. But what had happened is I just walked to the area to go check a fucking trail camera. Next thing I know, I'm standing like 1 mile away. That's what tripped me out. Okay. That I don't have an answer for that. I don't understand how that happened. I don't know. And it scares me. It still scares me. And then after that event is when I kind of got in the paranormal shit, because things that happened to me. And then
why did you associate that with Bigfoot?
Because I heard the footsteps walking away from me. Like,
why would that be a Bigfoot though?
Let me explain this. It almost felt like you could think I'm crazy, but it almost felt like I was carried, like transported from point A to point B, which I've told to other people, like, I don't know. And then when I came to, I heard the do, 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 like walking away. Like it was unreal. Like it was surreal. I don't understand it. And I don't have an answer. And it scared the shit out of me. But that's what got me into doing the paranormal thing for a little while. And then I started like diving into like orbs and trying to figure things out, and like, well, maybe they are this. And then I had an encounter while I was hunting in 2016 of November that it took me a little while, but I told it on my YouTube channel. Like I told the story, and basically I'm sitting in a tree stand. I'm just trying to run through all this really quick for you, so we're not here hours, but I was sitting in a tree stand. I heard what sounded like a wood knock off to the ridge on the right. I heard a wood knock back to the left, and I kind of knew what it was. I was like, well, if that's what that is, then they're in the area. I was sitting there, and it's just getting dark. I look off to my left, maybe 40 yards, and I see what would be a Bigfoot. It's walking, so I could see this thing, and I'm on private property, on private land, and I'm like, I know it's not another hunter. So this thing goes out in front of me. It's like 30 yards, 40 yards. And there's this big log. There's this huge log. I don't know. It's 25 feet long, 2 foot in diameter, whatever, 1.5 feet. It moves it with its arm. It reaches behind it and it grabs something. I don't know what it grabbed. I couldn't see it. At that time, I grabbed my bow off the hanger like this, and I've got my bow in my hand, and I have a machine running that's an ozonics machine, and what that does is creates ozone to dead. Right. So it starts walking back toward me, and I got the bow like this, and as I'm like, if this thing comes any closer, I'm gonna have to shoot this thing. I'm shaking like a fucking leaf, and right when it gets to this tree, it breaks to the left, and it goes up the way it came from, and there's a huge like oak tree. I mean, one of the oak trees where you like need 3 people to get around it, and this is crazy. So it got to that oak tree, and the one leg comes out like it's walking, right? Woof, woof. The one leg comes out. The next leg doesn't come out, and there's a blue flash. And I'm fucking like, what the fuck? What did I just witness? Like, what? I sat there and I panicked. Like, I didn't know, and it's getting darker and darker. I fucking left, man. I left some of my shit in the tree. And I ran. And I ran all the way to the fucking truck. I left my backpack. I left the fucking ozonics machine in a tree. I left it running. Like I was out. Like I got in the truck, I jumped in the fucking truck, locked the doors, and sped the fuck off. And it took me a while to actually tell that story. That's another thing that got me into this because I didn't understand why I seen what I seen. And the culmination of this whole fucking thing, which makes me stop doing anything paranormal or even wanting to search for fucking Bigfoot, happened at the Chautauqua Lake Bigfoot Conference. And so we were camping at Peter Weimer's cabins. We were, you sell your stuff, you speak at the conference, whatever. And we stayed in cabin 9, me and 2 of my buddies and his kid. And so around midnight, I'm like, hey, I'm going to bed. I'm tired. I got to do shit in the morning. And they're like, yeah, well, whatever. So I had my own room to the right. It had 3 beds in it. They had their room, which was 3 beds. Slept in my own room, laid down. Right around 2:30, 3 o'clock, I woke up and I smelled like gas. And I thought it was like they got a furnace on the wall that you turn on and off, higher or lower. It's natural gas. So I walked out there. I thought that's what it was. And I turned the fucker way down. I was like, damn. I was like, if that's leaking, like I want to turn it down. That was my goal, but I was half asleep. Anyway, so I turned it down. I said, fuck. I was like, fuck it. Open the window. I opened the window. That way, if I was like, at least I won't die if there's fucking gas, I go back to sleep right around 4:30. One of the most fucking traumatizing things happened to me that I don't even know. Anyway, so I'm a big dude, I'm about 230 and I'm not weak by any. So I'm laying in bed. I fucking wake up and this thing, I'm going to explain this whole fucking thing to you. I don't care if you believe me or not. This thing's, and it's about 6 or 8 inches from my fucking face. So it's an opaque white color. The skin's opaque. The eyes are big and like almost slanted a little bit, but they're so black that they look like the sheen on a sunglass. It almost looks silver. And the mouth is huge. It's like maybe 6 times our mouth. It's like ear to ear, like the Joker. It's ungodly large. And it had all these jagged black teeth. They were just, so it's holding me down, this thing. And it's got 2 horns proceed like right over the back of its head. And I can see the rings right on each horn going all the way back. And it's holding me down and I'm trying to fucking fight to get this thing off me. And it's not that I'm sleeping. I'm not in a paralysis. I'm not in anything. I'm fully awake and coherent. And I'm trying to yell and I'm yelling, fucking help me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm yelling really loud. And at this point, it starts sucking at my mouth, like probably about this far from my mouth. And the only thing that I could think of to say in my head was, God help me. When I said that, it fucking got off of me. Turned around and walked toward the fucking closet. And it disappeared in the closet. But in the meantime, on its back, where our vertebrae are, I could see it had large knots, like where each vertebrae was. And the legs on it were backwards, kind of like a dog's legs. They were like that. I fucking jumped up out of bed and I went to run to the door and my friend was coming in. And he's like, dude, I heard you screaming. What the fuck happened? And I was like, look, if I tell you, you're not going to fucking believe me anyway. So I ended up telling him, stayed up the rest of the morning, took a shower, sat outside, and I was like over fucking hot. Like something was wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I need to go home. And they're like, dude, why don't you just go do the conference? I was like, dude, I'm fucking like traumatized. What the fuck happened to me? Like, but something in my mind told me to go tell Steve Cold. Like, I don't like to name drop, but for God's sake of the story, I'm telling you what the fuck transpired. So I was like, go to the conference and tell Steve what the fuck happened. They're like, all right, we'll meet you down. You can go over across the lake to the place. So I get there, I walk up on the deck, and Steve's outside with a couple people, Michael, and there's other like 30 people down the other way. And his wife, not his wife, but the girl that he just broke up with, she does the paranormal shit. I can't remember her name.
Stacey.
And I told
Stacy.
Right. So she's there, and I'm like, I need to talk to you guys. And they like looked at me and they were like, what the fuck? Steve's like, dude, you're pale. I was like, listen, I got to tell you something. I got to tell you what happened to me last night. Like, I need to talk to somebody. Well, at the time, I didn't know they were fully into the paranormal. I didn't know he was AKA a demonologist. And I didn't know that he was an ordained minister from like a firehouse years ago. So I started telling him the story of what transpired. And he's like, hold on, let me. So he sends her to get holy water and something else. In the meantime, she comes back and he says something about, can I
The
pray?
power of Christ compels you.
Shit like that. When something really affects people and you say shit like that, that's fucking stupid. So anyway, when he put his hand on me and asked me, he said, can I pray with you? Or he said, can I say the Lord's Prayer with you? I blacked out. He said that, coming from his words, that I told him no. I'm Catholic. And Steve said that I told him no, I won't pray with him. So they began praying over me and doing their thing. And all these fucking people, I guess, were watching. Next thing he says that I like stop him and I like walk away down this fucking deck, which is like 30 or 50 feet. I go down the deck around the corner and I started like vomiting. I started throwing up. Then they said they followed me down there, came down there, started praying over me, doing these things, putting holy water on me, whatever. I was out of it for I don't know how long. And then he, what brought me to it is when he had incense, frankincense or myrrh or some shit. He lit it and stuck it in, literally stuck it like right in my nostril, and I fucking threw up everywhere. And I like came to it. And like I'm looking around and I didn't even know where the fuck I was at. I don't know what happened. I don't know. He's just, all I know is he's holding me with against the fucking building like this, telling me, are you okay? Are you all right? Like, and he gives me a hug and fucking, they give me a towel. I'm like wiping my face and shit. I have no idea. Like, I don't know what transpired. They told me the whole story, like, after that. So once this happened to me, like, I don't fucking want nothing to do with anything paranormal, fucking any of that shit. And that's one of the reasons I didn't go to a conference this year. And that's one of the reasons I haven't been researching Bigfoot as much. I just, dude, I talked to Calls about it, and he's like, for some reason, this is the first time I've had anybody entangled with the two who's had crazy paranormal experiences like this and Sasquatch experiences and alien experiences. He's like, this is like the first time that I've really, dealt with something like that. What it means, I don't fucking know. Did it scare the shit out of me? Fuck yeah. Like, you don't even understand seeing something like that.
Hey, Ryan, if we were to ask Mr. Calls about this, would you give us permission to talk to him?
Oh, yeah, sure.
All right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because he's been on our show several times.
Yeah, we did a podcast about it. Are you familiar with DDoS
No.
and the BDRP? When I first talked about it, maybe like 6 months later, I asked him, I said, just come on and, I'll tell what happened and you can tell your series of events. And he said, yeah. So we did the BDRP show and it was that,
What's BDRP? What is that?
Bigfoot Dogman Research Project.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did it on there, just kind of like this, but we did it on another channel. And
I don't think it was anything like this.
You know what I'm saying? Podcast style. But yeah, it affected me. It fucked me up. It affected me really bad.
Do you think now, if you believe in the supernatural and stuff like that, I get it. I do and I don't, but do you think you invite some of this stuff on yourself when you start researching this crap?
I think I did. And that's what Steve said too. He believed that this thing could have been following me because there was times where we would get these things in the woods, these sounds or these black masses or these voices of little girls. Like, dude, we'd be fucking 2 miles in the woods and I'd leave a recorder like under a rock that you fucking couldn't even get to. And when we'd go back like 6-7 days later to get it, I'd have like these voices on there, these little girls, like you could definitely tell it was spiritual activity. And I don't know. So here's where my research right now. Let me just say this. Like these bad entities can mock certain shit. So to get to your point, maybe I didn't see Bigfoot 7 times. Maybe it was just 3 times. And the other fucking 4 times, it was that thing or these types of things mimicking, because you're going in looking for something, you're going in to try to find something. And what better way to attach to somebody or get a hold of somebody is mimic or mock what they're looking for. Then you follow it. Then you habituate with it. Then you trust it. Then you see what I'm saying? These things start to happen and you're fucked. And then you end up like me. And that shit is not, dude.
So you're saying be careful what you wish for because you might get it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%, dude. Like
I have it now. I've had a lot of experiences with people who have had paranormal experiences, alleged, because you can't prove any of it. There's no way to prove a paranormal experience. Even if you had 100% proof, you can't prove it. It's unprovable. So I've come to the conclusion that people invite this stuff on themselves. Even with the Bigfoot research, you want to find it so bad you do, and sometimes that isn't a good thing.
Dude, it scares the shit out of me when I go in the woods to hunt now. Like, if it's Bigfoot, if it's fucking paranormal, like I'm scared out of my mind.
Here's what I want you to do, Ryan. I want you to take a break of 5 years.
A break.
And a break from all this Bigfoot stuff and just do your normal shit. Go out metal detecting, go out hunting, do what you normally would do on an everyday, and see if you still have these experiences.
So I won't metal detect anymore. I don't really have the urge to do it, but like I was in the woods today. I was at camp this weekend. Like, I continue to hear some of our other people here, like, and text me, like, what the fuck was that? Like my buddy Steve, he's like, some of these fucking homes that come out of the woods, like, I wish I had a recorder running 24 hours a day because, I don't know if it just happens around me or if it I don't know, but it scares the shit out of me. And as far as Bigfoot, it's been already a year probably since I did go out this past year. Before that, it's been a good year. Like, since that conference,
I'd say what I'm saying is separate yourself from the whole research side.
What Steve's trying to say is if you disassociate yourself from research and see what happens, live a normal life like you did before you were into all of these things and were doing all of this research.
That's asking the impossible, though.
But I understand
but it's what Steve's asking for is like
I get what Steve's saying, but assuming these events truly happened,
it scars.
There's no going back. There's no, like, you can't go in the woods and not look over your shoulder.
I'm not saying not to look over you. You're going to, obviously, but what I'm saying is actively looking for shit.
Steve, I want you to take a break for 5 years from selling shit on the internet.
Fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, this morning, like, I had to wait a little bit till I almost waited till daybreak because, dude, there's times where I go in the woods, like, I fucking.
And listen, Ryan, for the record, I'm going to be harsh on you because of the interactions that you and I have had. If that's if that's uncalled for, I apologize for that. I don't think it is personally, but I'm gonna be very critical of you. And when I say the things that I've said, and the things that have been said to me, it's fact. So but I'm gonna be critical of you, dude. And if you had these experiences, that's all fine and good.
It's not. It's fucking
no. But what I want you to understand something. What I'm saying is, if you've had these experiences, that's all fine and good. So I'm not trying to cheapen any of that. I'm just trying to explain that this
I
my
know you're
reaction to a lot of this has a lot to do with my personal experiences with you and understanding that you as a person, for me, comes into play in this.
No, I get it, man.
I just wanted to make that clear
that.
in this whole thing. I didn't want you to act to or to come out of this thinking that I just full on wanted to bash you for no reason whatsoever. It's not the case. I have my reasonings, and I for the record say, if you've had these experiences, so be it. I much with Steve say the evidence that you presented, these photos, I don't know that I'd have presented them.
The reason I did, like you say, I had to be true to myself. I had to share everything.
Okay, and from what I'm understanding now, like these experiences have been nothing but horrifying.
Yeah.
Okay, so
like that's the side that people don't understand. Like that is why the last year I haven't.
So I would just try to distance myself from it. I wouldn't even listen to the Fortean slip.
Smart ass. You're such an ass.
Neither would I.
But if you immerse yourself into this, and you just keep immersing yourself into this, and you find it horrifying every time you do it, why do you continue to do it?
Same reason that people go into haunted houses and stuff.
Well,
yeah,
you
know
get
a haunted
adrenaline
house
rush from it, but you want to. Honestly, I'll tell you the reason. Like, but I'm scared to do it. Like, push the envelope. You want to see how much more you can get. Like, what can I get? I'm getting shit that people can't get.
Creepy alien dude looking at me. I'm not pushing that envelope any further. I'm done. I get that. I get why you would be done after an experience of that nature.
And I have been, and that's where I'm at. I'm fucking scared out of my mind. Like, I go in the woods with a weapon, like, but it's, dude.
Is it the Sweetwater Legend?
No, that's my weapon.
No, I don't know. And I look over my shoulder, man. Scares the hell out of me. I'm a grown ass man. I just fuck me up.
These people that you go out with, you've mentioned several times. Are these like people like your boys or like? You don't have to say their names if you don't want to.
Well, two of them were my best friends, and they both died. Both of them, and both of them had encounters with Sasquatch, and one of them was in the cabin that night with me, and he died of a drug overdose, which nobody knew he was on. And my other friend actually died similar because he got something from somebody, took it, and fucking. Anyway, they both passed away. The other guy, he was brought in. His name is Dan. He kind of contacted me through seeing my shit and said, "Hey, I live in the same county. I've had some experiences. I'll go with you guys." Another guy is Troy that I know. I didn't really grow up with him or anything, but he got into the same thing with me. But he recently moved to Ohio, so it kind of all disbanded right now. I don't have the urge to go look for fucking Bigfoot no more, man. I know it's real. I know what happened to me. They say red pill, blue pill. My journey is fucked up. I went looking, so I don't know. I guess you're just, when you know it's real, and there, that's it.
So we could assume that you won't be presenting any more evidence because you won't be actively looking for it.
I haven't actively looked in over a year.
Okay.
So, I mean,
what were you doing before the show? I thought you were in the field.
I was hunting.
Well,
what season is it right now? Whitetail? Bow?
Yeah. So, yep. Like, it's just, that's why you haven't seen any new videos. Like, I went out with the Michael Ann this summer. Steve calls his buddy, him and another lady. I took them to one of my areas because honestly, I wanted to pass my areas off to other people so maybe they could take my research and keep going with it. And what happened is they brought in the wind turbines and made. Hang on one second. Yeah, I'm almost done. Yeah. They brought in the wind turbines, tore up the area, and I haven't really been in there since too much. But hopefully, like my research off to them and let them do it just based on what happened to me.
Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Either way,
Dude.
I gotta hop off here soon. So
Hey,
All right,
thanks for
yeah,
being
you
a
can,
hey,
you can dump out. And,
thanks for being a
coming
good
on.
sport, man. You knew that you were going to have a rough time on this show, and you came on anyway. So we like that when that happens. So
Mhm.
it's what it is, man. Come on again, if something ever happens, I'll let you know. But I'm not searching for shit right now. I'm good.
All right, man.
Take care.
All right, take it easy.
Later.
Enjoy. Yeah, that was fun. Thoughts, gentlemen?
I can't take away from Ryan that he believes he's seen these things, right?
By the way, Matt, you're absolutely fucking right. I fucking flew off the handle.
It happens. I wish Ryan was like that in our previous interactions.
Yeah.
That's my biggest takeaway. I think me and Ryan could have a different relationship within the biodome of the Bigfoot world.
Mm-hmm.
If
your first interaction hadn't gone the way that it had.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I can excuse the little nuances of things that he said and did during this, because it is what it is. He was outnumbered. He's being, drilled.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, but like before, it's never had anything to do with Bigfoot or what he knows or doesn't know or experienced or hasn't experienced. It's always just, as he said, it is what it is.
Right. I think my problem with the whole thing is it stems back to where we started.
Right.
With the whole conversation, that picture. And well, I examined the picture. Okay, Ryan. I don't care who the fuck you are, from what fucking dimension. That picture doesn't warrant any investigation beyond, hey, that's a guy in a red jacket.
Okay, the people that I researched with, at one point in time over the course of, I would say, 3 years, had anywhere from 15 to 25 trail cameras set in a very small area, taking crazy amounts of photographs. This was back whenever they were still running on film. It wasn't even digital cameras.
Right.
We would have the film processed at Walmart. And so that's to be understood, it's Walmart processing the film. They're not professionals,
Nope.
like they're just trusting the machine.
They load it in and it goes.
Right. Trail cameras have never been something that's 100% accurate and reliable, because they're outdoors and electronics aren't meant to be outdoors, period. Especially on the consumer level, that we use. I have literally, over the course of that time and afterwards, looked at thousands of trail camera photos. In person, stacks of actual photographs with like magnifying glasses, scanning them into a computer at full resolution and blowing them up hundreds of times, and you're not losing any detail whenever you do it that way. It's not a digital image to start with. And out of those thousands of photos, at least 95%, you never saw what triggered the camera. There was no deer. There was no bird. Whatever it was just the animal might have been in the picture. You just couldn't see it.
Or it may not have even been an animal.
Or it may have been a change that the sun came up and warmed things up and triggered the camera, or a rock heated up, whatever the case may be.
Or a branch broke and fell.
Right. Out of all of those photographs, there were two that I said, here's something interesting in this one. And I couldn't say it was a Bigfoot. All I can say is, here's what it is. You can see it.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can see it. That's all you can do. And I left it at that, and I've always left it at that. I still show those photos from time to time on the internet, and I still present them the same way because, like, I don't know. It's just what was in the photo, you know?
Right.
Think what you want to think about it. Like, I don't know. I remember whenever Ryan first presented that photo, a lot of people saying, well, that just looks like a person wearing clothing. You can see that the coat is a different color than the pants. Where was this taken? Then he explains where it's taken. They're like, that was where my problem was. Once I found out, not only did it look like a person, but where it was taken, I was like, well, if it was on one side of a trail pointing across a trail that people use on a regular basis, and it looks like a person wearing clothing,
it's probably a person.
It's probably a person.
Occam's razor.
Right. And then Ryan would explain, you know, the details, you know, well, it's farther back, you know, all of that stuff, and just tell everybody that they were wrong instead of just saying, like, okay, well, here's the details behind the photo. Here's, you know, what I've done to recreate it. This is what I found. This is my opinion. Here's the photo. And that's it. Not everybody is wrong and I'm right and it's a Bigfoot.
I think Ryan, when he presented that photo originally, got off on the wrong foot with the entire Bigfoot community.
That's what I'm saying. And I really think he would handle it differently now. I
think now, because of that, is why he's been on the defensive for years. It's because he got off on that wrong foot. Probably regrets it. And he may not tell you. Well, he kind of did say that. You know, probably regrets even putting that out. I would. First of all, I wouldn't have put it out, but only because there is doubt in that photo. It does look like a person wearing ski coat and ski pants. That's what it looks like. Yeah. And you didn't even need to know where it was to know that. You know, you didn't need to be told this is near a ski trail or a hiking trail. You could tell, right? You know, just by the pose.
And I think that the hard thing for everybody to swallow with Ryan too is that even the people who tried to talk to him rationally about, hey, that looks like a dude in a coat and ski pants, and they weren't dicks to him about it. And they really tried to explain why they thought that. He still isn't willing to hear anything different. It's like when Steve was talking about the picture that looks like leaves. You know, the one where you were like, you're seeing like a chimp face there.
Yeah.
You know, that whole thing. He won't let go. Even in the face of, you know, no, we saw this move or whatever. And like Steve was saying, he protesteth too fucking much. That's the issue that I've gotten to the point with him where regardless of whether or not he came off with us talking about this stuff in this environment a little better, there's something about all this that doesn't set well with me.
I don't know that Ryan's a bad dude. I mean, I've had conversations with him off
Steve,
the record.
I don't know that anybody is truly a bad person.
No, I don't think he's a bad dude. I don't think.
But then that's where that crossover with, you know, okay, it doesn't matter whether he's a bad dude.
No,
it doesn't matter if the photos are a Bigfoot or not a Bigfoot. If you show the photo and everybody's like, that's a person in a ski parka.
Then you accept,
and then you go and publish it in a book saying it's a Bigfoot and not mentioning, but everybody I showed it to says it's a person in a ski park and it's on a ski trail.
He did sort of mention that. I didn't get to the part where he didn't, you know, talked about the picture itself, but he did say the alleged skier photo or something like that. I will get to
the
that
alleged skier photo.
That's
okay. Hey, I gotta give him props for that.
All right. you don't write books to give them away.
Listen, Matt. That sounds like a fucking.
Let me go back to
Bigfoot
that part
evidence
of the
tactic.
book, and I'll tell you how he presented it.
I'm gonna
Hold
write
on.
that down.
Wasn't that in the?
I want
handbook
to. I
when
want to
we
get it
started?
right.
The alleged Rick Dyer hoax.
We did have. Here's how he wrote it. We did, however, leave a game camera through the winter, and we did obtain a questionable photo. The photo will later be compared to a skier. That's how he presented it in the first part.
Well, that's good.
So he does say it was questionable in this part of the book.
So
I
why
haven't
didn't he
read
do
the
that?
rest.
But why didn't he do that here?
Yeah.
Well, because he still believes what he believes about it.
And I'm not saying he's wrong.
No, but I think
Even if it looks like a person in a parka, due to the way that photography works and the cameras and everything, like, hell, it could be a Bigfoot. I don't know.
I'm going to guess it's not.
It's just one of the first things I was told whenever I got into this thing, this endeavor or whatever, is if you're going to be in this community, you better have some thick fucking skin.
Fucking right.
Yep.
And sometimes that means just keeping your mouth shut.
Sometimes you got to eat your shit sandwich.
And I always fight it tooth and nail. Like, I don't like eating my shit sandwich. I know, but like the Norm Glasser photo,
Oh, that sucked.
that sucked. But I mean,
But we were wrong.
I don't even post on my own website anymore. But I left some articles up, not all of them. I deleted some of my articles, but all of that is still up there where you can see, hey, I was wrong. You know, I got bamboozled.
Listen, when that Norm Glasser thing happened, the first thing I did was go find the photo to compare it. I did the photo analysis, and not my amateurish photo, and it matched. And
Well,
so the next thing we did is came on the air and said,
Yeah.
Right. And I think that the best thing about that is that it showed that we could have a little bit of, we could have show a little bit of humility about ourselves,
Well, and I think that's what Ryan lacks. At least on the surface, at least he doesn't come across as.
Well, he said matter of factly that he doesn't care.
Right.
And I believe him. Because that's how he's coming across. He
Yeah,
doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, and if he wants to, then that could change things. But I honestly don't think so, though, because like I said, he's just come off with me personally. I mean, the conversation that I had with him, when he tried to tell me how to run this show, and that I was doing everything wrong, and then tried, but started off the conversation like all fucking nice. But then goes into, your show's going down the toilet, and nobody listens, nobody cares. It was like this whole what the fuck, dude? Like 2 seconds ago, you were talking to me about, things were this way. Now we're fucking over here somewhere. Like, what happened? And he just. It's his general attitude, and you talk to people who have dealt with him, and they're just like I said, don't do it. Don't.
He's got the "I'm right, you're wrong, go fuck yourself" attitude.
Yeah, like he said when you were talking to him about the research in the beginning there about throwing away what other people told you, type of stuff, and he's just like, well, I'm just gonna do it better. That sounds like everybody who's a dumbass 18-year-old fucking going out there. I'm going to do it fucking better.
But his results, if you look at his results, they're no different than anybody else's results. The same.
Oh, absolutely.
Bullshit. So did he do it better? Did he get results at all? I would beg to say no. And I don't know.
Right. Either way, I'm at a better place with Ryan than I was a week ago.
That's good.
As far as how I view him.
I see him about this. I mean,
yeah, I know. I know. And
I can't help it just because it's not like I don't want to hate the guy, or because I don't, or I don't want to dislike the guy, I should say. But it's just the way that he came off. It's like, fool me once, shame on
Yeah,
you,
I know.
fool me twice.
But
I
I
it
like
was
to
that
dive
second
into
time.
those. I like to dive into those opportunities to get fucked over again. That's me. So
I mean, when I had the conversation with him, that was the thing for me. That second conversation, not the hangout. The hangout was the first fuck up. The second one for me was the conversation that I had with him. And I still, even with those, I still decided to have him on. And hey, it is what it is. I don't like I said, I don't hate the man. I just dislike his method of getting where he's going, and I don't think that he's produced a lot of quote unquote results, and I think he stretches to prove a point.
That could be true.
I think he does. I think he stretches to prove a point, and I think he may be one of those people who is pushing things that necessarily aren't, and maybe because he has seen something that is. Maybe.
I think he may have seen something that he couldn't, in his mind, explain in the beginning. Because why else would you? I mean,
he wouldn't be going out there trying to get DNA samples and all that crap if he hadn't seen something. Or believes he's experienced something.
Right. But
and
also,
you got
to remember too, though, Matt, we're going under the assumption that he's done each and every one of these things that he's told us that he's done.
Right. But we have to.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Based on, if we're taking
in this situation.
Right. Right.
And whenever he was telling the story of his first encounter, to me, the body language read him remembering things and playing it back in his head, how it happened and stuff. I'm not some sort of fucking like expert in fucking reading body
fucking
language.
Tim Roth, lie to me, motherfucker.
Yeah. Like, I'm just saying. Did you look to the right or the left right there?
How many people have you talked to about a Bigfoot encounter that claim they've actually had one, Matt?
What do you mean?
Quite a few.
How many people
over the years?
Yeah.
How many people?
Yeah. How many people do I believe?
Yeah. Body language means a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Do I believe that Ryan thinks he saw something that first time, and maybe even the second time? Probably. He thinks he did. Did he? We can't tell. Only he, even maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he believes he did. I believe he believes he did, but I don't believe that everything that he's put out to us as evidence is evidence.
Yeah, I think he's promoted bullshit.
Well, I don't know that he's promoted bullshit on purpose. I think he believes.
I didn't say that it was on purpose. I just said that he promoted bullshit.
Yeah, I believe that he really thinks he's doing what should be done. I think that he is biased, even though he claims not to be. Because how could even I would be in that situation? I know I would be.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, if I had seen one, there's no way you cannot see something that you would think, okay, this has to be that. It's just the way it is.
I mean, that's one of the biggest obstacles, in my opinion, whenever it comes to this thing. On the anecdotal side of things, which is the majority of it, whenever you're talking to non-believers or, people who are on the fence or whatever, and you're trying to present certain things even as possible Bigfoot evidence, based on the fact that it's out there, so that it could be caused by a Bigfoot, but the rest of the world doesn't know. Therefore, that part of the equation has to be removed, and that's extremely difficult to do. I mean, because like the stick formations. Okay, something's making these formations in areas where there's reported sightings of Bigfoot throughout history all over the United States, these same formations. But they could also be naturally made, and they could also be made by people.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you say Bigfoot, stick formations,
and for the record, I played that stupid fucking video. For the record, Bigfoot could be doing those fucking things too, but people do those too.
Right.
We used to make little teepee looking structures when we went out camping. When I was a kid, we did it all the time.
Yeah.
Now a Bigfoot researcher comes across that. We didn't tie anything. We didn't take rope out there with us. We just stacked them all together like that. And so a Bigfoot researcher would come out in the middle of the Allegheny National Forest where we had been a week later and assume that that was a Bigfoot. And it wasn't. It was me or somebody else doing the same thing.
You're also, it could be months later.
Could be months or a year later. Those things just, yeah. And you can walk into any patch of woods, no matter the size, and find a quote unquote stick structure.
And I'm not dismissing anything he or anybody else has found or experienced or, their evidence or anything like that. I'm just saying we have to be more accountable for ourselves and what we present and in debunking our own findings.
Yeah.
And part of that is the fact that you have to say it's possible, or, here's the other possibilities,
My biggest issue with people like Ryan, not necessarily Ryan himself, but people like that is, well, I seen it. I know it to be true. You don't have to believe me, but I'm going to keep saying it's true. And that's just the wrong attitude to have. You should be open to criticism for sure.
Right.
Because you're going to be, I don't care who you are. You're going to be biased. Everybody. There's nobody out there that doesn't. When Chris was asking me how to set up an eBay account, I didn't tell him all the bad stuff about eBay, did I?
No, God.
Well, you should.
No.
Have.
Fucking Christ, man. I wish you would.
I didn't tell him. I'm just saying. I didn't tell him all the bad things that could happen. I told him all the positives about it.
And like if you had gotten on eBay yourself and lost your ass and been ripped off over and over and never had any good experiences, then you'd be telling Chris, don't do it, man. It sucks. eBay's horrible.
Right. And bias is not just for the Bigfoot community. It's everywhere.
Right.
And it's hard not to have. I love what I do. And I'm going to tell people I love what I do. If they ask about what about this possibility, I'll tell them because then they've brought it up. But I'm not going to just offer information that doesn't affect me, And so with Brian, I think he's overly biased, to be honest with you. I think he'll go out and want that evidence so bad, deep down in his soul, so bad that he's going to find that evidence, whether it exists or not.
Because everybody that's seen one, whether they say it or not, and I know that's a blanket statement, that's not 100% accurate, but everybody who has seen one wants that day so bad where they can just be like, fuck you, I told you.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's the loop Brian got stuck in. And I think not everybody, but a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And I'd probably I'd probably have a
Katie.
Yeah, she probably had to go. Yeah.
Yeah, she said she had like 3 hours.
Yeah. I probably would have like Matt was saying, a better outlook on him if he had been a different person up front. I don't, and like I said, I don't hate the guy. I don't truly dislike him. I think that what he said and how he acted to me was shitty. I don't understand why. I don't get it.
I think it's just his general attitude towards life in general.
And and maybe because there have been people with this show before who think that because we're shitty to each other sometimes on the air and we fuck around, that that's the way they just need to be to us. I don't know, and that could be. So maybe I was fucking too harsh on him. I don't know.
You were just the right amount of harsh.
But I mean, like I said, like my past interactions, you know, we talked about it. The original chat that we had, he was just immediately a dick to me. Yep. I told him then and there, well, fuck you then. Good luck. You know?
I remember.
And then like didn't hear from him, and then like I don't know, maybe a year or two later, he just finds me on Facebook and starts like sending me messages that are shitty. Like, hey, you fucking asshole. Like, and it eventually, like, I asked him to leave me alone. He just kept on. I eventually had to block him. He found my other Facebook account and started trying to PM me on there. I had to block him there. Then, not too real long ago, he found my YouTube channel and I guess realized it was me and like got on there and made shitty comments, and I had to like kick him off of there. So, like, yeah. I'm one of those people who has had those type interactions with Ryan in the past. Hopefully,
I am not.
That will not continue.
Honestly, any interaction that I've ever had with Ryan was totally the opposite. And maybe it's just me. People treat me different than they treat Chris, for example. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I don't get it. I could say the shittiest thing about people, and they still think.
Yeah, they still fucking treat you like gold.
Yeah, and I don't understand it. And it's probably just the way I come across. You know, and so
presentation means a lot.
Well, although there are a lot of people who, once they get to know me off air, are like, "Oh, you're like totally different."
Oh, if I didn't know you, I'd fucking hate you.
But a lot of like how I am is how I am. It's just this. I just let everything out here. I try not to hold anything back, and I was honest with Ryan. You know, this is how I see it, man. And I'm sorry if it fucking, you know, if it's not what you want to hear, but it's just the way it is. So, but I do think, and I think you're right, Matt. He came off a lot better here.
If he would have come off that way, if he'd have come off that way in the beginning, when he first presented his evidence, people would have
a different outlook on him.
Maybe not by his story, but they'd have a different outlook on Ryan. And Ryan's YouTube would have been more successful. His presentations in general would have been more palatable.
Now you all know we're all gonna get the same message tomorrow, right?
Well,
from Richard.
Oh, fuck Richard.
When he hears the end of the show, he's gonna be like,
you guys doing?
Motherfuckers.
I don't know why I mean.
Listen,
Richard
we give
like
everybody.
Arnold, but
we might be harsh, but we give everybody a fair shake.
Well, you know? Richard is very. He's a hoaxer. He doesn't deserve any fucking credit whatsoever. You know, like Richard would be the type of person to jump on fucking Freeman's back because of one little thing, even if Freeman actually did see something. You know what I mean? Like, but Richard would be like, fuck him. No.
Well, again, I think the word hoaxer is thrown around way too much.
I agree.
Is Ryan a hoaxer? I don't know. But
if that's the best he can do, I hope he's not.
I mean, that's kind of a shitty hoax.
But because people are presenting evidence that they believe to be Bigfoot and we don't agree with it, that doesn't make them a hoaxer. It just makes them somebody who believes they're presenting something.
Right. And we talked about that on one of the other shows when we talked about Dallas and Wayne.
Oh, they 100% believed what they were saying.
You know, we talked about that very same thing.
Yeah. And in fairness, even if people think Ryan's an asshole, that doesn't mean he couldn't have had a Bigfoot encounter.
Right.
I think he did have an encounter. I don't necessarily believe it was a Bigfoot, but he does.
Right. So, I don't know what type of an encounter he had or what type of an experience he had, but I think it's possible that he had some type of an experience.
The first time. After that, it becomes suspect only because of the stuff he's put out and
Yeah.
and the attitude he's had about it.
Yeah, I think both of you are probably right that he regrets his original reaction to people and his original.
And I think that's why he is the way he comes across. He has to be defensive about it now because he was a dick in the beginning.
Well, for example, the conversation that he and Chris had about this show in private. Chris showed me the conversation. I can verify that he's being 100% honest about it. Ryan was a fucking dick. But yet Ryan came on the show. Ryan did try to reach out to people to come on the show. Ryan does sit in the chat room and listen to the show. So Ryan's a fan of the show.
Yeah.
So why be a dick about it? You know?
Yeah, that was the thing. Is like, what's the deal? Like, why?
And I think
bash it.
Yeah, I think for whatever reason, apparently that might just be who he is.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, because like these people that came at him, you know, supposedly or whatever from the Bigfoot world, whether you like them or not, those are your fucking team. Those are your fucking colleagues and your peers that are in the same boat trying to accomplish the same thing as you are. And there's no way that one person has all the fucking answers.
Yeah, especially in these types of fields.
Right.
There's just no way. Because the research is spread way too thin.
Right. So, you know, that's a network that you don't want to burn your bridges with everybody. You pick and choose, you know?
Yeah. Anywho, we should probably wrap this up after fucking 3 hours.
Yeah, fuck this show.
Fucking hell.
Reached new lows.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Fortean Slip episode 103. To Bigfoot or not to Bigfoot. After this, I don't fucking know anymore. If you like this shit, hit the little thumbs up button. If you don't, hit the little thumbs down button. Leave a comment, subscribe. Check out the Sweetwater legend, Steve Alcorn, right up there in that top corner. Check him out.
I'm pretty sure it's a chick hat.
My hat is sexy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Check out Matt Knapp at youtube.com/bigfootcrossroads and youtube.com/cryptid tales. Check us out on Anchor at anchor.fm/the Fortean Slip. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to give a monthly donation to the Fortean Slip, you can now do that through Anchor. There is a link there for listener support. If you guys would like to support the show, you can support the show. I'm just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there, Steve.
Let's hope it didn't fall on.
Just throwing it out there, Alcorn.
Just throwing it out there, Steve. Steve, you want to support the show?
Yeah, I support the show every week. I'm here.
Do you tithe, Steve?
To this show, no.
Check out Richard's comic strip, Bigfoot with Keith and Colin, on Facebook. And he's been doing some stuff with his blog lately. Again, too, the link for that is below the video on YouTube. Jesus Christ, I almost said Facebook. Check out Parabreakdown, old Phil Poling at youtube.com/Parabreakdown. He's back with a vengeance, people. And check out our good friend Dred Funn at dredfunn.com and youtube.com/Dred Funn. He's been doing a lot of great stuff. I think he did the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yep.
Just recently.
Yep.
Which came out fucking awesome. Frank, great show as always. Yes. And
thanks for the intro, Frank.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Frank.
You do an amazing Chris impression.
That's fucking spot on, Frank.
You're still a sexy fucking Irishman, though. God, I can't get over that.
All right, we'll be back next week with another episode. I do not know what it'll be, but until then,